Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the West Ham Network. You are live for Transfer Deadline Day. Anton and, of course, my fellow hosts.
It is deadline day. We've still got business to do. It's exciting.
We have, yeah. There's relentless amount of stories all day. I've been covering them on the West Ham Network. A mixture of players heading out the doors, players coming back in, and things still can change, no matter what, because some of the players we were linked to today just literally came out of the blue.
Yeah,
but had a bit of meat on the bones, you could say. And yeah, a few interesting ones. But there's players I suppose we should well, do you know what? Let's address the elephant in the room. Carlos Soler is due to be coming into West Ham. We'll get chatting about him and get your comments coming in. And as we get stuff coming through, we'll keep you updated. I'll maybe put the little banner up along the bottom there that gives you all the news that's coming out throughout the day as well and what we're waiting to hear. And keep your comments coming in as well. Let them know. We'll try and get through as much as we possibly can whilst we are on here live with yourself. So, Holly, the news is earlier on this morning, nobody was really sure what was actually going to happen. But very quickly, we got notification that James Ward-Prowse was potentially on it, or still is on his way to Nottingham Forest on a year-long loan, which I think in theory then sanctioned the option to bring Carlos Soler to the club. He's apparently passed his medical, and apparently the deal is a 2-year loan.
I just saw that as well. Interesting. I'd far rather have a 2-year loan than one. He's a player I'm really excited about. I didn't think we'd actually be able to get him, and especially getting closer to deadline day, it felt like surely all business was done after we've had such a good window. But yeah, I think Soler would be brilliant for us. And I saw them saying that he was one of the many talented players that PSG had just sort of struggled to make a position for. But he can play attacking mid, he can play as a winger. And apparently he was a really good leader as well in Valencia, and like covers ground, a lot of flair. He can score goals. And I think most importantly as well, we've seen it in the first couple of games, is that we've kind of struggled to link up play without a Paqueta kind of doing that. And I think he'd be a player that would be able to do exactly what Paqueta does, slightly differently, but in terms of actually linking up play and being able to help us get that ball forward. And I think that's going to be really exciting, even more so if Paqueta does get a ban. It's going to be an even more important signing for us. So I just think Soler would be brilliant. I know a lot of people have been saying we've got a lot of midfielders, and they're right. Like, it's not an absolutely urgent position that we need to fill. But I do think when there's a player like him available and we find ourselves in a situation where we could have a player that links up play, potentially getting banned in the next however many months, I think you can't let it go. What do you reckon?
Yeah. Listen, I'm excited at the prospect of Carlos Soler. You know, I was in Spain recently and was speaking to a few locals, and they all rate him. And again, I was trying to get the real honest opinion on him, but the way they describe him is exactly what I think West Ham are looking for. And today, when I've been describing West Ham bringing Carlos Soler in, as if you looking at the Bournemouth game in particular, the Bournemouth game, I know it was the Corrupt Cup, I'm now calling it. But if you take what we lacked in the midfield and what James Ward-Prowse and Tommy Soucek lacked in the midfield for that game, is exactly what Carlos Soler does. And what James Ward-Prowse and Tommy Soucek do is exactly the opposite to what Carlos Soler does. So when we've got players like Alvarez, Rodriguez, and what looks like Tommy Soucek, of course, staying at the club, then I don't know if you need any more of those type of players. And it's quite clear that the two of them, it didn't work. It didn't work the system against Bournemouth. We lacked players looking for the ball. That was one of the biggest things I really noticed against Bournemouth. Like, no one went looking for the ball, and the only person that went looking for the ball was when Paqueta came on and Kudus came on. And that's when they both kind of went looking for the ball, and we started to get a little bit of that. Carlos Soler is exactly that. He is that player. He's got a unique style about him. I really like his style of play. There is probably a similarity, but in a different position, but better than what Fornals is.
Yeah. I see it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
really exciting. So exciting. I hope we can
think,
get it over the line.
yeah, absolutely. I think what would have been even better would have been bringing in a striker. We can come on to that in a minute because we're here for a few hours anyway. I know, Holly, I know you might not be, and we'll jump in and out and all that sort of stuff. We'll have loads of guests coming on. But it's been an exciting summer. It really has been. I think, the impatience in West Ham fans comes when you suddenly get loads of players and suddenly you go quiet for a little while. And then out of the blue, you hear that Carlos Soler is coming in. Let's talk about James Ward-Prowse heading out of the club. What's your real thoughts on that? Like, are you okay with it? Are you a little bit sad about it? Like,
it's a difficult one because he's a player I would like in the squad. I don't feel like he doesn't make a huge impact for us, so I don't feel like we desperately need him. But he is a player that I would like us to have as an option. I feel like getting rid of him doesn't necessarily benefit us too much on a loan at this point in time anyway. So I'm kind of neither here nor there, to be completely honest. I'm not devastated because he wouldn't be in any of my starting 11s really, unless it was as a sub. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to make a massive difference. Sorry, properly sitting on the fence here. Don't think it's going to make a huge difference to our upcoming season, but he is a player that I would have liked to have kept around in case we needed him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I think it makes sense. Apparently, it's a straight loan. I don't, unless something comes out of it that we don't know about. Apparently, it's just literally a straight loan with no option or obligation to buy. I mean, listen, if you do a straight loan, I think there's always an option to buy. I think really the only one you should care about is the word obligation. So if there's an option, then so be it. And if someone doesn't say there's an option, that still doesn't mean the deal can't go through. So the obligation's the key one. So if he does just go on a straight loan, it makes sense. He's not going to get game time under the Lopetegui system. I suppose if you were to be romantic about it, then he would go away, do well, come back and play even better for West Ham and push his way into the team, etc. Possibly, I just, do you know what? His stats read really well in terms of his goal contributions. And I think the thing that I'm worried about losing is the ability to his ability to change a game from absolutely nothing. And I think, a few times last year we used the word cheat code, but I think we will. I hope we don't get. This comes back to bite us in the arse. I don't want that to happen. I just think it would be good to have a cheat code and having a James Ward-Prowse on the bench, but I don't think he wants to do it. He's in the peak of his career. He does not want to sit on a bench at West Ham.
And it's understandable as well. And I think what he does bring, like you said, from a corner, we can get a goal, and it's nice to just have that in your locker. But I think the problem is when you then bring him on and we don't get anything from the set pieces, or we don't get many set pieces for him to do something with, I'm just not sure he does enough on the pitch. Like he runs around like mad, doesn't he? He's always chasing the ball down. I'm just not sure he makes enough of an impact. When we've got so many choices in midfield, I struggle to know when we would bring him on, because I'm always of the opinion that, like, if we need a last-ditch goal, would I bring on Ward-Prowse in the hope that we can get a corner and then he can get it on the end of, like, Fulkrug's head? I'm not sure I'd take that risk if I was the one in charge of the sub. So it's a difficult one, but I would have liked to have kept him just around so that we could have used him if we needed.
Yeah. Again, though, I mean, it's a vast change in things when you think that last season we were struggling for squad depth, and then suddenly out of the blue, you look at our squad depth and players like James Ward-Prowse cannot and will not get a game. And we're actually, I mean, if you'd have said to me 2 months ago, James Ward-Prowse would be leaving West Ham on loan to go to Nottingham Forest, I would have never, ever believed you. Genuinely would never have believed you.
You'd have been shocked. But looking like as an overview of our transfer window, you look at the positions that we were saying were key. You've got a striker, you've got left wing. We've pretty much brought somebody in for every single position. I know that striker's still position. I'm sure we'll touch on it, that people still want strengthening on the whole. But it just feels like we've had such an incredible, our squad overall is so much stronger. And to have the squad depth now that you're looking at the likes of James Ward-Prowse, and we're not really that fussed that he's gone away on loan, says a lot about how much we've actually managed to do this window, when I don't think any of us would expect us to have this investment, this backing of Lopetegui. Everything's happened. Very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. On top of that, we're also talking about another player heading out the door, and his name is Maxwel Cornet. Do you know what? This one, it does feel right, obviously, because he was never going to get his opportunity really at West Ham. And I've done a video this morning. I've done so many videos, I don't even know who I was talking to anymore. But one of the points I made was that if that goal had counted, the goal that should have counted against Chelsea, when he scored it, I wonder what his career would look like now at West Ham. Would he be a different player? Would his trajectory at West Ham been different? Would his Premier League campaign been different? Because at that spell, when he played for West Ham, when we scored that goal that was disallowed, he was actually, for the first part, 5-6 games or whatever it was in that season, was quite influential. He was really important, and was part of a lot of the big decisions at the club that led to him playing well. And then suddenly picked up a bit of a knock, a bit of an injury, and it just absolutely scuppered. And then he came back from that, and then David Moyes didn't use him when he needed to use him. Then he played, and then he set up a goal in Europe, and then he never played the next game. It was just all very odd.
Yeah, it just felt like he was on the verge of getting that opportunity, but it just never quite fell for him, did it? There was always something getting in the way, whether he was injured, whether he wasn't chosen. And I was excited to see what he could do as well, because I felt like he had the makings of the kind of player that we needed in that position at the time. But like you said, again, I'm just not sure that we've now got space for him or a use for him, given the other options that we've got available to us. But let us know in the comments how you're feeling about him heading to Southampton, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but before we move on, let me just bring a kind of breaking news story, I could say. So earlier on tonight, we were told that the agent of Reiss Nelson was pushing for moves for him to come to West Ham along a whole host of other London clubs. But it's just breaking news now saying that Ipswich Town are now officially in talks, advanced talks with Reiss Nelson on loan from Arsenal. So it looks like West Ham are not going to get Reiss Nelson, even though that was a rumour and his agent was pushing for him to come to West Ham. But he is now in advanced talks with Ipswich Town over a loan deal. That would then open the door officially for Raheem Sterling to move to Arsenal. Reiss Nelson doesn't fill you with a lot of... I mean, are you going to lose sleep over that one, Holly?
No, I'm fine with that. I've kind of made peace with the fact that if we're going to get anyone, it's going to be Soler that's coming in. I wouldn't say that Reiss Nelson's a player that I've been desperate for us to get necessarily. Right wing, I think we're doing okay. Like, we've got enough options there. I think we'll be fine without him. I'm not going to be losing sleep tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to remember where we were. We're talking about Max Cornet, I think. What we're led to believe on Max Cornet is that he is going to be signing on loan with either an option or an obligation. This is the word of the summer of 2024 is obligation, loan, option, and obligation. That's the words that everyone will remember from the summer of 2024, because that seems to be what everyone is doing. So yes, that is that for you. I've got another little bit of breaking news. The breaking news is that Tammy Abraham has officially signed with AC Milan. It's not West Ham breaking news, but Tammy Abraham has officially signed on a 1-year loan with AC Milan. The player was strongly linked, thanks to the Italian media, of coming to West Ham, but that did not turn into anything. And officially, he has joined AC Milan on loan for a season. Have we missed out on someone there, Holly? What was your take on Tammy Abraham?
I think he could have been good for us. Again, he's a player that I'm not desperately gutted that we haven't signed him. I would like to see other options up front, but I can't say I'm massively surprised if we're not sort of breaking our backs to get one at the moment, just given that they've brought in Fulkrug. We've made so many signings, and I wonder whether they're teeing something up for January, just because it feels like we've almost run out of time now to bring somebody else in. But no, I don't think I'm devastated about Tammy Abraham. I think he would have been a decent enough fit for us, and I would have liked to have seen what he could have done. But yeah, question whether he was that fussed with coming to West Ham as well. What are your thoughts on him?
I don't know. Like I think there was always a concern over his ACL. That's always going to be a concern, but that doesn't mean that players' careers are ruined or are done or finished if they get a really bad injury. You know, people have recovered from these things and been exactly the same, if not better, sometimes because they're recouped differently and they change things up and all that sort of stuff. And if he'd have came in, I'd have backed him. You can't hide away from his goal scoring record. His goal scoring record is ridiculous for a player that's played English Premier League football, Serie A, and international football, and won the stuff that he's won in all the places he's been. So he's got a strong history behind him. Listen, I would I have taken him? Yes. Do I think West Ham have got another plan? Yes. What is that plan? And will that plan happen this summer? Maybe not. Will it happen in the winter? Possibly. And that one is, I suppose, the other elephant in the room, West Ham's supposedly main target this summer, and that was John Duran. I mean, obviously, at some point this morning, Holly, I woke up and I thought West Ham are going to push for John Duran today.
Did you feel like today was the day?
I just thought, I don't know. I just had a little thing. I was like, are we gonna try and do this? Are we gonna try and get it done? But it just doesn't look like it's obviously going to be an option. So, what's your thoughts? Think we've missed out on something there?
Yeah, I think Duran would have been really, really good for us. Probably one of the ones I've been most excited about that we've been linked with this window. But I just think I'm of the mindset at the moment where it's probably not the right mindset. What will be. Like if he doesn't want to come to us or we've not managed to make it happen in time, I've got so much faith right now in our ability to sign the right players that hopefully I'll be proven right with that as well. I feel like if we don't get somebody now, we'll get someone in January and there'll be a reason that we didn't manage to get him. Whether it was cost, whether it was price, whether it was the player not being fussed about playing for West Ham, whatever the reasons behind it are. But I would have really liked to have seen him play for us. What are you saying?
Yeah, I am quite excited about the prospect of John Duran still coming to West Ham. I think he would be a great signing. I think his pace would work, and I think he is a quality player. It's just
January, maybe.
Yeah, it could be something they're working on. I find it really interesting that West Ham have done this kind of loan deal when the Solar's announced, and if it is true, a 2-year loan. With the obligation pushes the transfer fee back for the summer of 2024, 5, 6, yeah. So it's interesting to see what the kind of mindset is behind that, and maybe the mindset behind that is that we are preparing for spending money in January as well. I don't know how I feel about it all, because would we have heard by now if we were looking at other players? I think that happens, but when you look online, like you're still hearing breaking news stories coming out all over the Premier League. I mean, out of the blue, Aguerd. I mean, I was listening to Sky Sports earlier on. They had Leicester fans on, and not a single Leicester fan. They actually thought they shut up shop. That was them done for the break, and then suddenly they've signed Aguerd from Crystal Palace, just out of the blue.
I think this is as well what West Ham are now probably capable of, which is doing business without sharing the bits with the media that we don't want to or that don't benefit us. It just feels like a new approach to the way that we're doing things. And I don't think it would be impossible for us to pull off signings like that, where you don't hear anything and then it's just an absolute shock that you're suddenly signing a player. So I think, it's the kind of system that I've always wanted us to have, because it felt like, going back about 4 or 5 years, it felt like anything that happened ended up in the media, often detrimental to us as well, that it was shared with the public and the agents and everybody in the whole world that was anything to do with any of it. So I think, there definitely could be some surprises. And that's why I hope that we're working on things behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that we'll bring a striker in before the deadline tonight, because it does feel like we've run out of time. But can you imagine that if we brought someone in the next like hour and 50 minutes?
Yeah.
I hope that we're working on things behind the scenes, like whether it's the likes of Duran, for example. Perhaps we are agreeing things behind the scenes that when January does come around, we're kind of half of the work's already done. So I remain hopeful that we could be doing things that we're not aware of as fans at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to come into the comments in a second because I know there's a lot of comments to get through. But before we do, there's another potential outgoing at the club, and that is related to this man, Nayef Aguerd. Today, I think I've heard him being linked to possibly 20 football teams. But in the last kind of little while, we've started to hear news that West Ham and Real Sociedad are trying to strike a deal to bring him over to La Liga with a loan option with a fee. West Ham have been offered a deal for him to go to Saudi Arabia. What we have heard is that his agent is in Dubai. His agent wants Aguerd to go to Saudi Arabia, and Aguerd thinks his level is above. This is rumours. Again, please be mindful of this. His agent, the player, believes his standard is at the standard where he is at. Hence the reason he's knocking back a lot of the clubs. Most recent rumour coming out of it, though, is that he wants Spain. He wants La Liga. So if Sociedad come in and you're starting to see rumours of clubs kicking around there that are interested in bringing him in, then so be it. If Aguerd goes or if he doesn't go, what's your thoughts on the whole Aguerd situation, Holly? We've got another guest coming on in a second.
So he's 28, isn't he? So, and I think when we signed Aguerd, we saw him as a good player. And if he still sees himself in that same light, I can see why he'd want to stay in Europe, like the rumours have been saying for a while. I just think it's difficult because when offers are obviously coming in from overseas and it looks as though we don't really have a place for him because we've got to fix what the problems that we had with defence last season, which conceded 4th most goals in the whole league, says a lot about the players that we're putting in front of our goal responsible there for stopping us leaking those goals. And I just don't think, which I'm shocked looking back, I really thought he was going to be an exciting player for us. And it looked as though he could play with the ball at his feet more than the defenders that we had at the time. But it just hasn't worked out. And I think it is time for us to part ways. It becomes difficult when players start being picky and choosy about where they go to. But I think if you look at his current form and how he has been playing in the last season, he's not warranting a top European side to come in for him to play for. But then I think that's where you've got to be careful with the players that you actually bring in and how long you sign their extensions and their contracts for, because if they then drop in form, they can then refuse to leave unless it's to a club that they want to play for, and you end up paying their wages for however long you've agreed for. So I think this is kind of almost like a lesson of how careful you've got to be. But I think he'll still find somewhere to go, and I reckon he will leave because I think he wants to play, even if he's saying he wants to play for a top European side. And yeah, I think Real Sociedad, hopefully we can get a deal over the line and go and find him somewhere to play so that we can save on that wage bill. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Listen, we've got 2 guests coming in a second, but one I talk to a lot regularly about it, and he's done with them. He's done with them, and I'm not done with them yet. So the reason why my camera's gone quiet is because I've officially seen the picture or the video of James Ward-Prowse walking into Nottingham Forest's stadium. So I was just trying to get an image of that uploaded while I was on there, but I'll get that done for you just now. So he is at Nottingham Forest. Apparently he's completed his medical, so I think he's gone in to go and get his images done. So it'll be interesting to see what that official deal is. But in terms of Aguerd, I think that he's probably been a victim of the previous regime. Oh my God, we've got loads of guests coming in, but that's good. This is what it's all about. So yeah, I think he's just been a victim of the previous regime, and the low block defender didn't suit that style, and I think his start to his career with his injury didn't help, and so be it. So listen, if he's going to go down the pecking order, then so be it. But we need to have an option to cover him. But listen, we'll come into the comments in a second. Let me bring as many of us all in as I can. Let me go. Look, we've got everyone in the house. We've got Alex and
good evening.
He's all right.
Aye.
It's everyone.
Hello.
Good. Well, listen, we've got him up here right now, Aguerd. I'll put it over to you, Dan, because you had your say on it. So go for it, mate. Go for it.
Look, I can see why he's going. Yeah, he doesn't want to be at the club, and he's obviously we've been trying to shift him for this reason. He's not good enough. Yeah, I don't think he is good enough. Obviously, we only see him under Moyes, so we can't completely judge whether or not he would be. But if he doesn't want to stay, you've got to move the player on. My problem with this deal is we've left it so late, and then you're going to go into a season with 3 centre-backs. And you've always got to look at worst-case scenario. What if 2 go down injured? It's a problem. You know what I mean? We just left it too late.
I think we've been trying to get rid of him. He just kept on rejecting offers, though, didn't they? I think he had many come in, and he just kept him rejecting because he had the idea of what he wants. And I think there's only so much West Ham could do. I mean, we pretty much froze him out of the squad, because he hasn't been involved at all. To tell him like you're not going to play here. You got to find somewhere else to go. But he just kept on rejecting moves. So I don't think we can put all the blame down to West Ham here. I think we can definitely put some of the blame down to Aguerd, who's probably being a little bit picky, maybe. But we don't know the clubs that have come into him. But yeah, maybe he does feel like he's better than what he has shown while at West Ham.
And Luke, as you always say, mate, agents are the biggest ones to blame in all this. You know, the agent's twerking for the best deal possible. So he's probably got the agent in his ear, and that's why a lot of these deals probably broke down as well.
Well, that's why we're hearing what we're hearing about that situation is his agent's based in Dubai and he wants him to go to Saudi Arabia. So I think there is definitely probably a confliction in Aguerd's brain, definitely, because he, when you see him hanging about with the players, the squad, he looks like the happiest man ever, But he is going to be losing quite a large core of his friends, because if you follow him on social media, you see he hangs about in particular with Areola, who's going to be at the club, Zuma and Cornet, who are potentially leaving the club. So 2 of his 3 best mates are going to be heading out the door. I just don't know if there's going to be time left on the deal. I mean, the one only thing left for Aguerd past 11 o'clock tonight is Saudi Arabia. But past 11 o'clock tonight, if West Ham haven't brought in a recruit, then why would West Ham get rid? Look, you think if he doesn't want to be there, get him gone, go for it.
Well, yes, to an extent. I mean, like me and Dan was saying in the chat, right, I completely understand where he's coming from, because it doesn't make sense numbers-wise to get rid of someone who's perfectly capable of playing, especially being left side centre-back is an obsession nowadays, that you have to have right side and left side and all the rest of it. So my opinion is that, if everything's working out and everyone's fit, which is obviously the best case scenario, an ideal world, if someone doesn't want to be there and isn't going to play either, then you ship him out. You get him out. It's different if he was a top, like if we thought if he was like a Kilman, like we can't lose him because he's integral to the way we play the system, and he wants to go, then it's a bit difficult because you've got to try and find a replacement and all the rest of it. But if he's someone that wasn't particularly playing last season, every time he played under Moyes, he made a mistake pretty much to lead to a goal. And obviously it's a new manager now, so that's what's kind of surprised me a little bit actually, because it's a new manager, it's a new system, new players been brought in. It's clearly West Ham are trying to go somewhere, trying to achieve something, because the calibre of players are bringing in, not just bringing in players for the sake of it, but bringing in a decent quality to the point where, you're talking the season we had with the Conference League, we brought in Cornet and other players. It was like, okay, we're bringing loads of players in, but everyone was like, yeah, but he's not that good, and he might be good, and he's all right. But with these guys, we're like, fuck, like not only have we got in the amount of players that we wanted, like to have a decent squad amount, we've now got players that are a decent caliber as well. You're almost like just relaxing because you're thinking, well, these guys are obviously going to be of a decent standard. You're almost questioning the manager's integrity. Can Lopetegui get the best out of these boys? Because it's not the other way around. So it surprised me that he still wants to leave. But as I said earlier, and I've said quite a few times over the last few days, agents play a massive part. So people don't realise that how much they're in the players here, trying to get him moved. So I'm surprised he wants to go. If he does want to go, I let him go. But I do understand Dan's point as well.
I think as well, unless we promote Casey, if we do get rid of him, it is a worry that we don't have a fourth choice centre back there. And like you said, you only do need to get unlucky with injuries in a certain position. And suddenly, like we were concerned when we had a leaky defence, but obviously the pressure that would then be on Casey if he needed to come in, and what you do if that isn't working out suddenly becomes really concerning, because we've seen how difficult it can be to win a game regardless of how good you are at attacking.
Yeah.
So that would be one of my fears in the background.
Well, I just look at it as a West Ham fan for the amount of time I've supported the club, and we'll have a lovely little stretch, no injuries, and all of a sudden, when you know there's one short, oh yeah, 2 go down. That's it. We're done.
Yeah.
It's just the West Ham way.
Look, it was last season, wasn't it? Just when Kudus went away to international duty, you had Paquetá go down, you had Bowen go down, Antonio was already out, and then suddenly we were left up shit's creek.
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing about this season is like we could probably afford to lose 2 of those and still have much better backup than we had last season, which is one of the advantages of having such a good window that we've had. But going back to Aguerd, I am particularly surprised that we are letting him go, not only because we don't seem to have a backup ready to go at the moment, although there could be something in the background that we're not aware of, but he can also do a job at left back as well. And the way that he plays football is probably more set up to suit the style of Lopetegui. And in pre-season, I thought that he looked fairly decent, and he looked like he was enjoying his football. But then suddenly, the first game of the season come along, and he wasn't in the squad, and then we didn't see him again. And I thought that was just very, very strange. So I don't know if he just come out and said, I don't want to play, or I don't want to be second fiddle to Kilman. Maybe that's it. He sees himself as just a backup to Kilman, and that's the reason why he wants to go. But if he wasn't, he may be open to staying. But yeah, it just kind of like surprised me a little bit that we're willing to let him go if we haven't got a backup, because we will be left a little bit short of centre back, even though players like Alvarez can play a role there if required. It's not ideal. So, but as I say, maybe there is something going on in the background that we're not aware of at the moment. That is a possibility. I mean, according to Express, we're talking to Chelsea, and they've got all the players under the sun. So I'm sure we can find a centre back within their 20 odd players that they've got playing in net back if we need one.
There actually was an update on the players that were potentially up for grabs from Chelsea. I'm just going to see if I can try and find it while you are talking amongst yourself, if you don't mind.
It's an interesting conversation as well, but playing devil's advocate massively. Obviously, we don't know what players are told by their agents, but if you were a player in Aguerd's position and you've joined a Premier League side and you think that this is going to be your chance to do really well, would you settle to go to Saudi, or do you reckon you would throw your weight around and try and get a move to somewhere in Europe where you think maybe you've got a better chance of still playing for your national team and things like that?
It depends on the player, though, doesn't it? It depends on their personality. Like you look at some of these players that are going to Saudi, and they're clearly just going for the payday. Because the thing is, average players are going out there and getting paid like $300 a week. And I mean, they're bang average. They're not getting in. They're not getting in like a good Premier League team, and they're going out there and earning more money than they're ever going to earn in their career. They go out there and just do 1 year, and that's their retirement fund at the end of the day, isn't it? So it really depends on the personality. Like, I'm really surprised at some of the players that have gone out there in this window, to be honest.
Ivan Toney.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's a weird one.
That is weird. And that's what I would compare this one to, because they're both a similar age. They both seem to be out of favour with their clubs. They both couldn't find anywhere else to necessarily go within the Premier League. One got offered Saudi. They both got offered Saudi, but one's taken it, and the one's like, no, I want to go and play in one of the top 5 leagues. So in that respect, I have a lot more respect for Aguerd for the fact that he still wants to go and play football in a top league. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, maybe he was, he turned down a couple of decent moves, which has kind of put us in this position a little bit. But at the same time, it is a little bit our fault, because we didn't plan ahead. But I think there's only so much planning ahead you can do, isn't there?
I think the biggest problem is where I feel for him a little. Obviously, we were going to go out and improve that defence. It was awful, conceded the most goals clubs ever conceded. So he was always going to go out there and go and improve that defence. And I think, had he not bought Kilman, Aguerd might have been thinking, I could fight for my place here. Because Ant's made this point a few times, and I do have to agree with him to some extent. He's never played in a system in the Prem that outside of what Moyes did in that low block. And we've always said that Aguerd would suit a defence where they sat higher up, they passed out from the back. He had the time to shoot those diags that he's really good at, you know, and he's got the pace to recover. And we've never really seen the best of him, have we? Let's be really honest, because he's never been afforded the system, you know, to play in.
The thing is, he's quick as well, because he's still. I mean, I remember it clearly. Is that like he made the tackle against Newcastle, didn't he? The recovery tackle, which showed he also had pace, which is something that we've lacked sometimes as well over the last couple of years. But maybe he's just said to this. He's there was a thing, isn't it? I don't know if it's always an excuse by players that he can't settle in England. And you know, I know sometimes it's an easy cop out, but maybe he hasn't. Apparently, he wasn't the only one. Alvarez was also annoyed that the owners kept.
Breaking news: Wolves forward Fabio Silva has joined Las Palmas on loan for the 24-25 season. Sorry, Luke, carry on.
No, you're not sorry. You've done that on purpose. Yeah, absolutely done that on purpose.
Do you know what? I totally forgot you had that. So, because you did it last year, and it was like,
that's
time to log off.
That's the equivalent of saying a League Two plays on League One on loan, like a youth player thing. So, yeah, cheers.
Sorry, on you go, mate. Carry on.
No, you're right.
He's going to use it for it when anyone's just chatting a little bit too long. Just suddenly, just do that breaking news.
Too long was I not giving my opinion?
Actually, no, that was a genuine.
No. I was just making a general thing. I wasn't making that assumption.
No, but funny enough, I've actually forgotten what I said now, Anton. So it's over to you, mate.
Well done, mate. He was about to make like an award-winning point as well, and you've ruined it all.
I'm sorry. I am actually genuinely sorry. No. So just before we do move on to any other player, I want to give a shout out to this geezer here. His name is Ajala. He is a young lad who's stepped up into the under-21s and has helped West Ham under-21s maintain their 100% record for this evening before going into the record break at the international break after West Ham beating Norwich City 1-0. Our good old friend Russ was there watching the game and is a big fan of Ajala. So it looks like now that Divine Mubama has moved on to bigger and better things, depends on how you look at it. Ajala is, I know. Ajala is potentially going to step in there. So yeah, it's good to see that the youth players are stepping up and providing everyone with opportunities. Shalaba, have we missed out on this opportunity? Over to you, Alex, first.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that may be a missed opportunity, but at the same time, I kind of looked at the players that we've got and wondered how much game time would he actually get. And I think that was just a big part for him. He wasn't getting the game time at Chelsea, and Chelsea pretty much froze him out, treated him appallingly. And then him coming over to us, it's like, would he start instead of Kilman? Would he start instead of Todibo? He would be a really good backup, 100%. And if one of those got injured, then yeah. But that was my only worry with him, because I feel like he is a player that can add something to a side if he's playing regularly, but if he's going to be sitting on the bench for the majority of the time, would that be the move that he would want to make? And that was my only concern. But I would have liked him at West Ham United, but as I say, I'm not sure we would have seen him play a huge amount. And I feel that's going to be the problem with any of the centre backs that we were going to bring in. But I feel like for a player of his quality and his age, he probably wouldn't have fancied the move to us because of that. And I believe he's going Palace, isn't he? Which I think makes a fair bit of sense in his case, because he's gonna be starting every week there.
Yeah, I think that's what he'd want as well to start. And I'm not sure who he'd start him ahead of if we've got Todibo and Kilman. Yeah. I feel like we can give him the promises that he probably would want to be able to sign
right back. Like, I know he can play right back pretty effectively as well, but we've just signed Wan-Bissaka in the Cayman half. We've seen him. Looks like he's going to be.
He can play anywhere, can't he? Right back, left back.
Yeah, I think the move to Palace suits him better than the move to us. To be fair, they've just lost Anderson, haven't they, to Fulham, and they're restructuring that defence. So I think it suits him better. To be fair.
And then
breaking news: who remembers this guy? Pierre Ekwa. Pierre Ekwa has signed for Saint Etienne on loan with an option to buy from Sunderland. The reason why I bring this one up, though, all jokes aside, is if they do sell him, there is a sell-on fee that would come in. So there is an option to buy on that deal from Sunderland. So if they do sign him at the end of the season, West Ham can walk away with a transfer fee on the back of it. So Shabala, carry on. Sorry.
Where were we?
I finished my point anyway.
Look, or Holly, go. Shalaba.
I think any centre backs that we bring in are basically going to be a fourth choice centre back. So I don't know who you bring in that would excite us as fans as a fourth choice centre back, or who would be excited at the prospect of joining West Ham as fourth choice. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
It was one of them where the door was open for a little Timmy special 18, 19-year-old up and coming defender. That's what we needed, really. Someone who knew he was going to come in, weren't going to get much game time. But was willing to learn basically from the 3 senior centre backs you got. But time's at the essence now. Like there's just not a lot of time left. So we will see. We will see.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if Aguerd can't get his move to the league. I'll be surprised if he leaves because does the Spanish transfer window end today as well? Close today as well.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think the only one that doesn't extend it.
So if he can't get that move, I think he'll stay, and then he will be given a second chance. It'd be stupid not to give him a second chance if he doesn't go anywhere. But I can't see him going to Saudi because he's already turned down that deal, and I don't think it's what he wants. So he might get some opportunities.
How is it allowed that just educate a stupid idiot like me? How is it allowed that everyone has such different transfer windows? I know that obviously leagues start at different times, don't get me wrong, but
some of it is to do with where you are in the world, so time differences and stuff. So it may seem that they got a shorter window, but like it could be that they're in front or behind us with time. Right. And then there's some countries where their league operates slightly differently, so they're allowed an extra week or two. It's never anything too extreme.
Some countries play their season in different
seasons are played at different times as well.
But there's been, it hasn't been very often, but I think it's like something like where they've players left the club. They left them in the shit because they've literally their windows shut, but they've been sold to another team, and they're like, "Oh, we didn't think you were going to go." And within the last week, he's gone, and now we're short in that position. It's not completely is it not like a?
That's why your transfer strategy's got to be on point, mate.
Yeah,
there's nothing to protect them. That's the club. It's basically club error there if that happens, isn't it? So.
I know this is not West Ham related, but Fabrizio's just tweeted that Sterling and Arsenal is at final stages.
Mental.
That's an interesting one.
For Arsenal, that would be a huge signing. It'd be a upgrade on Martinelli.
Just the squad.
He plays on the left, doesn't he, Sterling mostly? And on that left they've got Trossard and Martinelli.
Martinelli's toilet anyway. So I
didn't think Martinelli was all that.
I think what you might find with that deal is that Chelsea will be subsidising at some some large amount of money because
they're like 320 grand a week at Chelsea.
Yeah, there's no way Arsenal will pay that. Yeah. So Arsenal are probably thinking we'll get a player, we'll put our arm around them, we'll let Chelsea pay most of his wages, and let's see what happens. It's probably
mate. Chelsea, what are Chelsea trying to shift in this window though? Like 20 players.
Yeah,
they had like 48 first teamers. Mental.
They're still trying to bring more in. That's the crazy bit.
Oh, do you know what? I've just come back from holiday, and we always have the same fella like drive us to the airport, and he's a Chelsea fan. And I said to him, like, what do you make of it? And he went, honestly, Dan, it's mental. He went, even as a Chelsea fan, none of us understand it. He was just like, he's just playing Football Manager in real life. He's just buying up all the talent, buying all these players, sticking them on 8-year deals to like try and get around PSR. He went, it's a joke. Like he went, none of the fan base is happy with the way that he's running the club at the minute. He said,
they're not a football club
because he basically said like it's not exciting. He went, we don't get excited over any of the signings now because it's just got silly. It's just like this player, that player. We don't know who's going to play week in, week out. Like he said, it's just mad. Like the whole fan base is just so confused by it.
I saw on Twitter the other day, isn't it? Like they're trying to run it like a baseball club.
because he's American. He clearly doesn't understand how football works, and he's trying to play it. He's trying to play that game where it's like the way they do in the States, where they get draft picks there, so they get like the worst teams get the best picks, and then they accumulate all these really good young talent, and then eventually they'll have like a franchise-winning team. It happens a lot in all their sports, and I think essentially he's trying to replicate that in football, but it doesn't transcend.
Do you reckon it could work?
Yeah.
The way Chelsea look to me at the moment is that they're a real estate company that happens to have a football team. They're not a football
well,
club.
It's the fact that like any means necessary to get around FFP and PSR, like selling off the hotels and things like that to make money, and like apparently that all goes into it. Like it's criminal, really, the way he's running the club and getting around it. I read that they've spent as much in the last 2 years as West Ham has in its entire lifetime.
I saw as well with the because they sold the hotel and used it as like profit for the club.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be more and more rules that come in as well, which stop them being able to do that or stop them being able to use it in their accounts. Because I think I saw that they were banning the use of the hotel sale. So if they're not careful, like say in 2 or 3 years, all of their income is going to be sort of invalid, and it's going to screw them over massively. And especially when you look at,
I think what the Premier League need to do is they need to hire Chelsea's lawyers, because they seem to find all the loopholes before the Premier League does. They find the loophole, then the Premier League closes them.
Yeah, like the maddest thing is that like Chelsea are to blame for like so much in football at the minute. Like transfer windows never used to be anything like they are until Abramovich bought Chelsea, and then he went on that summer spending spree. He spent all that money, and like they literally like him, that foreign owner coming in, changed the Premier League overnight. And then in the last, if you look at it as well, in the last 4 or 5 years. The amount of years your lads put on contracts, all this stuff, they're getting rid of it all, and it's all because Chelsea have been this club that have just managed to find loophole after loophole after loophole, and now the league and the FIFA are taking a look at it at home and going, "Nah, this don't wash. We need to change things." It is mad.
According to our good old friend on Twitter, Santi's back. If anyone doesn't follow him or not. The exclusive is that Kurt Zouma has just signed his contract. His contract is official, and he will be joining Aruba. We heard earlier on that his
that's what his knees are made out of.
I say it was a pure miracle when he passed that medical.
Who did that medical?
Cross-eyed doctor. That's where he did it.
Yeah. What I don't understand about what Santi's saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, Zuma's got 1 year left in his contract, doesn't he, at West Ham?
Yeah.
So what Santi's saying is his contract is valid until 2026. It's a loan with an option. Well, of course it's a loan with an option, because after the loan's done, he's a free player, so you can sign him anyway. So obviously that was probably news that we knew officially, but we're just waiting on the official confirmation coming in.
None of our players who are going out on loan have got any obligations. They're all kind of options as well. I think Cornet's an option, isn't he? Ward-Prowse is an option. They're not obligations.
I don't think Ward-Prowse has got
just
nothing.
A straight loan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as I said,
that might be with Aguerd as well.
As I said to Holly earlier on, though, like the key word here is obligation, because an option and not having an option and an option doesn't really mean anything, because you can have an option if you really want to. If you want to make a fucking bid, the obligation forces you to do the deal, doesn't it? The player at the bottom there you'll see is Carney. You ready for me to absolutely destroy his name? Chuck Wimika. Chuck Wimika from Chelsea.
That's right.
He was actually rumoured earlier on today to be in some form of conversations with West Ham coming to the club. 20-year-old midfielder. Dan, because I cut you off for breaking news, I'll put this one on you first.
Wasn't he the one that Villa bought? That they bought from Villa a couple of years ago, and he's on £100,000 a week.
He was 20 mil from Aston Villa.
Yeah, and they instantly stuck him on £100,000 a week, and then he sat in the reserves and went out on loan, didn't they? Yeah, I've got to be honest, don't know much about him. Genuinely don't. I know he's like an attacking player, but when I see us linked with him, I was a bit like, why do we need him? Because let's be honest, we're struggling to fit all of our attacking players in the team at the minute. Because for some unknown reason, Souček still starts. But
don't get me started. Don't get me started.
I'm not going on. I'm not going to get down that. But it just seems
a
a bit weird.
He won't start going forward. I genuinely think that
Luke, he scored.
I'm starting to, yeah.
He scored.
I know,
that's all he did.
That's all he does.
That's all he did. That's all he did. He didn't do anything else in that game.
And this is, do you know what? This isn't hate. I don't hate the guy.
No, I don't
because,
hate him.
You know, like what he does well, but it's just all the other stuff that you want a midfielder to do. It's like
watching the other night was a classic example of he got it three. I watched it. He got 3 times in the first half. Every single time he played the ball, his head just went down as if like that wasn't good enough. Why can't I pass it like a normal player?
But you can see the way he moves, even the way he runs. Do you know what I mean? Even the way he runs is so awkward, and it's just like, yeah. Do you remember when
if you watch Souček's reactions after he hits the ball, right, you can see in him that he's already thinking about the spinny before he hits the ball, right? Yeah. And if he doesn't do what he thinks he should do, he genuinely looks like I am stealing a living by playing football. I'm not like he's genuinely questioning himself every time he gets the ball. He looks at the ball like he doesn't even know what football is. But then when he gets in the box, he comes alive. When he gets in the box, like I've never seen a bloke more reliable in the box.
I think the issue I've got with Souček now is that we don't have that man to link midfield to attack. You know, we haven't got that man that links it because Souček's being expected to do that, the poor sod, and he doesn't have the technical ability to be able to do it. And that's what we're missing. Obviously, that's why we're trying to bring Solerin at the end of the day, because that's what he does, and that's why we're trying to bring him in. Because Lopsy enough, obviously, from those pre-season games, but he's got no choice to start him because Alvarez has been injured, and for whatever reason, he won't drop and play Paqueta in the middle.
I don't know if it's mainly on Alvarez because I think they play a different.
Santi said.
Santi has said.
Aguerd, Real Sociedad. Documents now reviewed, then done deal.
That's it, mate. That's it. That's what he said. Santi is in. Santi is in the house.
I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
Listen. Well, let's remember the source. So let's remember the source. It is Santi. Although, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Santi the one with Kudus? I'm sure Santi was Kudus.
Oh, that's going back a while. That.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Mate, I don't. Until they're holding shirts and it's
I know,
done.
but that's the only one I credit him for. And at the same time,
but there's nothing from the other sources though. Do you know? There's nothing from Fabrizio. There's nothing from anyone else. So.
I'm actually gutted about JWP. I'm actually gutted.
That's him walking in.
But he'll start there. He'll start there week in, week out. That's actually a really good signing for them. Like he'll be good for them. And I can understand the move because he ain't going to start every week for us. But I just think he offers more. He offers more.
He offers more than other midfielders.
I know it's always you. But it's happening again. Not West Ham news, but Jadon Sancho. Here we go to Chelsea. What are Chelsea all about, mate? What the fuck are they doing?
Mad. That is mad. What are they paying him on wages?
That's their fourth left winger now, isn't it?
But how? They can't register them all. They can only register 25.
This highlights. I'll tell you what, right? If a player signs for Chelsea, it's more on what is the agent getting out of it more than it is if they're going to sell.
It must be. It must be.
Because there's something, if you're saying your player to go to Saudi Arabia, it's obvious. There's money there, blah, blah, blah. If you're saying your player to go to Chelsea and you're saying to your client, you won't get played, you'll probably play less than you would do in Saudi, but you're going to get X, Y, Z out of it. Plus, I'm going to get even more out of it. There must be something to do with backhand.
Yeah.
Not backhand. I don't think it doesn't.
Little brown envelopes.
Could be
in the rounds, mate. Definitely not declaring it. That's how they stay with him here. So
I read that with the old setup.
Just touching on James Ward-Prowse, though, can you imagine if he goes out on loan, has an amazing season, and then we can bring him back and actually be able to utilise him in our squad a little bit better than we have been?
Do you know what? I'm surprised Lop hasn't looked at him and gone, like, I know he isn't the quickest, but he's got everything that Lop likes. He's got that diag ball. He's good on the ball. He passes well enough. Like, I'm actually surprised that he's let alone in him out and he hasn't tried to. Like, this isn't again. It's not hate for Souček, but I'm surprised that he hasn't tried to shift Souček. And but he's happy to get rid of JWP. Just mad.
But I mean, I was sitting there surprised that Souček started the first 2 games, and James Ward-Prowse
Criminal, mate.
didn't.
Criminal.
Because he offers pretty much everything, nearly everything that Souček offers, apart from good in the air. Souček's very good in the air, and he's got this really annoying habit of being in the right place at the right time. But he scored exactly the same amount of goals as James Ward-Prowse last season, and James Ward-Prowse assisted like so many more than Souček. He just adds something else. Yeah, I know a lot of them were set pieces, but he's also got that knack of being in the right place at the right time.
But just having that dead ball specialist as well, you know, for last 20 minutes.
I think
coming on, there's got
to be something to do with Souček's attitude. There must be something. He must.
Souček must be like the best player in the training. He must be so good in training because there's no other explanation.
He's asking when his birthday is. He's buying his birthday cake, Christmas cards. You know,
like I said it. Like when Moyes was at the club, he definitely had some inappropriate images of Moyes. And that because he started every week, like even when he was shocking, and he had runs of games for 6 games where he did nothing, he'd still start. And it's like he definitely
he was
obviously really nice to Moyes' daughter.
I would actually
the opposite to what Zaha did. He was obviously really kind, and so Moyes took that on board. I don't know.
I would actually defend Souček a little bit more under Moyes. I was always a supporter of Souček under Moyes because I felt like he suited that Moyes system so much. I thought he suited the Moyes system. But now we've got Lopetegui in, and he wants to play a different way. He wants to play possession-based football. Now I'm like, no, Souček doesn't suit that. He's done a great job. I still think he can add something. I still think he'll be great coming on the last 20 minutes of games to win the ball or to, you know, help defend and to get into box to be an absolute menace. But because I think I pulled up a stat. It's like I think he scored like 33 goals for West Ham, and I think 18 of them have come after 60 minutes. Scores a lot of goals at the end of games, and I just kind of feel like that's where he can contribute more.
I'll tell you what you all do need to do, though. Stick a fiver on him scoring a free kick on his debut.
Yeah.
He was never, do you know what? I made a joke. I made a joke when he signed for us with the lads I sit with, and I went, I guarantee the time he's here, he'll never score a free kick. And then he's going out on loan, and he hasn't, has he? So there we go. Maybe I shouldn't have made that joke.
Was it? If there is special, blame Dan. It's all his fault.
Yeah, it's me.
Is Kudus a free kick taker? Did I just read that quickly? Did it?
Yeah, I think someone said that he was taking them off Kudus. I wonder who will.
So is Kudus a decent free? I didn't even know that.
I don't know.
He did get a couple for Ghana. He got one for Ghana in the African Cup of Nations, I believe. So yeah, he can score them.
Was it a clean free kick? Like
it was a decent free kick. Yeah, I don't know if it was top because he scored it. Which is more than what James Ward-Prowse did.
On that comment there about the Czech boys, look, it's called constructive criticism. I respect that they go out there and they try hard. Yeah. It's not Soufal's fault that he runs in mud, and it's obviously not Souček's fault that his legs belong to Bambi. You know,
I'm gonna try
one of those things.
I'm gonna try and get this in before Anton breaking news me. So this whole mantra of West Ham. All we want to see on the pitch is 100% effort, right? That was from a bygone time where you maybe had 1 or 2 good players or 3 players in the West Ham setup where you needed 100% just to have a good game of football, just to try and see that, you know, we might not be the best team on the pitch, but at least we know they're going to give 100%. Now we've improved significantly over the last how many years it is. It's like giving 100% is the bare minimum that West Ham fans now expect. Like the expectations have gone up, and that's just my belief, because I will never slag anyone off for doing that. But when they are literally, you're watching professional footballers that can't kick a ball properly, and I genuinely mean Souček does struggle to do that at times. You do go, I get that you're giving 100%, mate, but even I could do that. And you know, you've got 60,000 people in the stands who would give 100% every week. The difference is that he looks out of place in the team. He looks out of place during the game because he can't play the system very well. If we were playing a system where we were knocking balls in the box all the time and he was scoring goals, you couldn't really moan because he's doing his job. That's it. But when he's not played to his best and he's hindered, don't hate him. I actually feel a bit sorry for him. That's actually what I kind of mean by it, because he's a nice bloke. He's a happy bloke. Anyway, do your breaking news. I know you're going to do it in a second.
Breaking news, mate.
So his finger hovering over the button the whole time.
Yeah. He really looked like he was concentrating as well, like he was waiting for the right moment.
I do feel for Souček as well, because I feel like you said, he gives 100% and he can score a goal. He's got a goal in him. But I don't know if bringing him on at the end would really work. So I feel like the more minutes he's on the pitch, the greater the likelihood of him getting the ball in the back of the net. But I think this is where Soler coming in will be really exciting, because we need a player that can bring the ball, travel with the ball, and link up play. And I think that's where we'll really benefit if we can. Fingers crossed. In
fairness, we don't know what Souček's like off the bench, because he never gets an opportunity to come off the bench. He's normally on the pitch and start. So it might be even better.
We could absolutely love him off the bench. He could become. He could change so many minds off the bench. We don't know. We should try it. We should try it.
Greatest super sub in West Ham history.
It would be a menace. Just stick him up top with Bowen alongside him. You know.
Yeah, I can't have Bowen as a forward. I'm sorry, I can't.
If we are led to believe the rumours are true, though, about these two players going, Zuma and Aguerd, it does genuinely leave West Ham short in our defence. I know we've kind of briefly mentioned it, but again, we have to just wait for the official confirmed stories. But supposedly Zuma's signed his contract in Saudi Arabia, and the contract's nearly signed for Nayef Aguerd. Again, I'm not sure on the source, but let's just play devil's. If it does actually turn into something, and surely we've got something else up our sleeve. Surely we've got something up our sleeve.
You would hope. I know Rodriguez and Alvarez can play there, but they're not natural centre backs. So it's like the last thing you want, really, isn't it? But Cresswell's good enough free.
Let me talk to you about Casey for a second. Russ, I'm not saying I believe everything Russ says, but Russ does go watch the under 21 games. He does, though. He has done now all last season, and now this season again. He's there tonight. In actual fact, without further ado, let me just bring Russ into the equation. And this is his review of the under 21's games tonight.
Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. At Rush Green, rushed back from my caravan holiday to get back here as West Ham continue their great start in the PL2. A 1-0 victory against Norwich. It was a strange one, really, because for most of the game we controlled it, but Norwich had probably the best chances, finished 0-0 half time. A Josh Ajala goal. Got the 3 points for the Hammers. Some great performances, actually, some really good performances. I thought Julie Robinson was a constant threat down the right hand side. I thought Tyron Akpat had a great game in midfield. Lewis Orford, maybe a little bit wayward with some of his passes. They just off the ball a little bit. Louise Al played a good, decent game. Ryan Batcham played a good game as well. Finn Herrick made a couple of really good saves, particularly in the first half. But I think Norwich had probably the best chances, to be honest. We didn't really have many clear-cut chances. Everything kept on getting deflected. Everything kept on getting, players in the way, shots deflected, all that type of thing. It was a bit of a clumsy game, I think, for the under-21s. But it's the victory, and it keeps our impressive starts to PL2 keep going. But, and obviously now it's the international break now. I think it's 7 academy players are on international duty now, so hopefully they'll all come back unscathed. They continue their really good start to the PL2. It was just a bit like the day after Lord Mayor's show. I mean, I think it was like 5-1 last week. Slightly rejigged side as well today. But look, I think we definitely had most possession, to be honest, throughout the whole game. But yeah, as I said, Norwich probably had the better chances. Cut away with passes for them. But, it's a victory. And, another victory for the PL2, really. So, great stuff. But anyway, I'll be giving you a full rundown for the Academy show on Monday, plus also talking about the international players and how the loan players have done as well. But yeah, till next time, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and come on, you Irons. Irons.
There's his review of the under 21s. But what he has said over the last year or so is that Casey just definitely isn't ready. He just doesn't see the strength, and do you know how when James Ward-Prowse, I don't know if any of you watched the interview, and he spoke about when he went first into Southampton's academy and he illegally went to Havant and Waterlooville and got knocked about, and that's what made him the player that he is to make it in his career. And that's kind of how Russ describes Casey. He wants him to go out on loan to lower leagues and just go and deal with this crap that comes his way before he makes a step up, because that's a huge step up. And I remember going back to two players that we kept going on about all the time, Baptiste and Alessi at the time. I personally was more on the Alessi wavelength. I thought he would more or less made the step up 100%. But it's obviously quite clear that these guys weren't ready for it because of where they've gone and where they are, you could say, as well. But going back to the centre-back, it is concerning if we don't bring someone in that position. And I understand the point of everyone saying there, we've got players that can play in different positions. Again, let's be sceptical because we don't actually know how true these rumours are. But I wonder if these are happening, if this is happening, if Aguerd is leaving, that West Ham have got something up their sleeve, because we're already been talking to Chelsea today. They've got a few fringe players they definitely want to get off the books, but I don't know who that is, and I don't know, are they good enough? Holly?
Just touching what you were saying about Casey, I think it does concern me massively if someone doesn't have the physicality, especially if you're a centre-back. You cannot be pushed around in that position at all. I think another worry I do have is Kilman and Todibo. Right now, we're all looking at them and going, they're really good. But we're a couple of games into the season, and if they didn't perform, that's one of the things that I am sort of thinking, like at the moment, they're my chosen centre-back pairing. But if one of them surprised us or we got injuries, we could find ourselves in a difficult older position.
Yeah, that's the biggest worry, is the injuries for me.
Yeah. We had high hopes for Aguerd, and then that hasn't worked out. So I touch wood and everything that Kilman and Todibo will be what we're expecting them to be. But
I think Kilman's already shown us enough, hasn't he? Like Kilman,
yeah,
I think in the
Kilman,
3
I'm
games.
really confident with.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to the players that we've signed, we weren't really going to know until the transfer window had closed anyway if they were going to work out or not, because it's going to take a good few games for them to at least show what they can do, and sometimes it can take even longer. So, but being in that position straight away, where we are just down to 3 centre backs, is a little bit concerning. But you just kind of got to hope that they do kind of stay fit. And hopefully they do. Last season we had a terrible defense. Like, they kept on moving around, but we did have Zuma included in that, who had shocking knees, and then Aguerd in there as well, who picked up quite a few injuries while he was here as well. And then he also had African Cup of Nations as well. And then you had a Bonga who was getting quite old. I think Mavropanos pretty much stayed fit for the majority, didn't he? I think he was pretty much available for most of the year. So very different defenders this year. So hopefully they stay fit, and it won't be an issue. But it is concerning going into the season with only 3 recognised centre backs. If we do, we might not.
There is a question in here from, I'm just trying to find it again. I did highlight it. Irish Tommy. Again, another elephant in the room. Do we think the club will terminate Ings' contract? I'll be honest with you. I think we said ages ago in the chat that West Ham were pimping him out and willing to pay a lot of his wages to make clubs go for him, but it doesn't look like that is happening. On top of that, with a year to go, it kind of would be borderline pointless, because you could probably just utilize him where necessary at that point. And I think,
can he play centre back?
Well, if we're not going to bring in another striker, though, like it's better to have that option than have nothing. So as such, so Danny Ings, Alex, what's your thoughts?
I mean, Danny Ings he's always been a player that's been able to score goals wherever he's been, and I've always felt that under Moyes he was just used wrong the whole time. He was always being put up top to play that one lone man up up the end to receive the ball, and it just didn't suit him. But we did see some good sides of Danny Ings when he was played that little bit deeper, when he was kind of played in that 10 role. And I just wonder if possibly we can utilise him more in a role like that alongside another striker, because I thought he did okay when he came on against Aston Villa as well. He looked really sharp, and he was coming to the ball rather than waiting up top. So I still think there is a player in there that we can use and can still do a good job for us, but long as that we use him in a way that actually suits him a little bit better than how Moyes used to use him, basically.
I think he's a good sort of what I would call a plan C striker. It seems to be the whole Krog is going to be a support network for the wingers, because he doesn't seem to me like he's a hold-up guy. He's got a decent shot on him, but he's not the focal point, if you get what I mean. Like, we're not going to be relying on him like we've been relying on Antonio the last couple of years and whatever. But Ings is one of those players where he's still got a pace. Like, if you see him coming against Villa, he ain't scared to run about. I know he was only on for 10 minutes or however long it was, but he's not. I'm not saying you could rely on him for 90 minutes, but if you say we want to beat the offside trap, or we get runners in, then I think he's useful. I think
he wants to press a button.
No, I've literally just burnt my lip. Like, I've just fucking drank lava. Holy shit, man.
What was it? What was the drink?
Lava. Fucking tea. It's roasted. It's actually roasted. It's fucking roasted.
Anyway, Ings is useful. I think we should make use of him in some capacity at least.
Yeah, if we've got him.
I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of the players that Moyes brought in that we looked at and went, yeah, they're not Moyes players. They're a result of his one-dimensional system. And I know that there's people out there that, still really like Moyes, but like, if you're really looking at it, it was so limited under him. And Ings is just the result of Moyes not being able to evolve. It really is. He did not know how to get the best out of him. And there was a few players like that, that he just didn't know how to get the best out of. I actually thought Ings was far more lively when he came on against Villa. And some of the players, I actually think he did well. And when Lop came in, it was a brand new start for everyone. Not just the new signings. It was a complete refresh for absolutely everyone at the club. And Ings is one of them, And from all the clips I've seen of Ings in training and behind the scenes, he seems like a good time. And that is just as important as the players on the pitch as well. Like, it does, that morale, like it's a big thing. But if he's willing to put a shift in and he understands he ain't going to start games because of other players, then I don't think you get rid of him. I think you keep him around and just hope that he can impact games in a better way than he did under Moyes.
The telling thing for me was they'd done a video before the season started. They asked the players, what would you get Danny for his birthday? It was his birthday recently, wasn't it? And Zuma came along. Zuma's a bit of a thing, like, he's got everyone around him. I know he's captain and all that, but he was only captain in the name after, Moyes' era. But they asked him what you get him. He thought he went, he loves football too much, get him a football. And I thought, I don't know if it says more about Danny Ings or it says more about Zuma, the fact that he's talking him up in that way. But apparently he was just, he's liked within the camp, Danny. I don't know if that's a sympathy vote doesn't get played very much, but it's but apparently he's quite popular.
Because he turned down a move to Southampton, didn't he? At the beginning of the window.
Yeah,
I think I don't know if that's because they wouldn't pay him, or apparently it was because he wants to fight for his place. But it probably is the money. Let's be honest here. But I'd say, if we've got him still, we've got to use him, and I still think there is a good player in there, just if he's used in the right way.
Holly, before you go,
I
know you need to go because your pizza's waiting for you. Is there any player that we haven't got, realistic player that we haven't got in this window that you wish we had got? Realistic, though. So, realistic.
You know what? I'm going to say John Duran. Like, I would love that to happen. And I think if, say, Ings would have gone elsewhere, those wages probably could have been used. And I think that was probably the big stumbling block, just needing that extra bit of money to use there. So I'd have to say John Duran. Like, if I'm going to say someone that I feel like we could and potentially still can get, he's the one. He's the one that I would have liked to have got.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to run off, but in case I don't catch up with you all before the end of deadline day, Come on, you Irons.
Oh,
More signings.
enjoy your pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Catch up soon, guys. Enjoy.
Right.
See ya.
Okay.
Cheers, Holly.
Yeah.
The one player we haven't spoken about is the player. Sorry, Holly, I'll remove you. Oh, she's gone. Oh, sorry,
Oh,
Alex,
no,
bring
no,
you
no.
back.
I'm back.
Let's talk about the player that we're expected to bring in, Carlos Soler. Dan, start with you, mate. What's your thoughts?
If we get Valencia Soler, it's a game changer, mate. It's such a good deal. Like, it's a 2-year loan with an obligation. Yeah, I honestly just think if we get the Valencia Soler, because obviously a bit part of PSG, because again it's another club where they've just got so many good players and it never really happened for him. But at Valencia, them last 2 seasons, he had 22 goals over 2 seasons in the league. Like he's an incredible. I do honestly think he'll be an incredible signing for us. And it instantly improves the midfield because he is a centre mid, box to box. I know he can play on the wings and behind the striker, but his position is box to box. He makes the midfield tick, and that's what we need. Like I know we've joked about Souček and stuff and his limitations and whatever, but we do need to find someone that goes in that place that Souček's in. And he is the one for me. He's a very, very good option that was obviously available, and we've managed to pull it off. There's a lot of people online. He's this, he's that, and they're just basing it on what he did at PSG last year. But if you look at the player, like there's a reason why PSG bought him. If you go and look at his Valencia career, that's why he was bought. And he's had one average season. But he still managed like a couple of goals, few assists, like in the bit part role he played for them. It's just, and Lop's a fan, so that's enough for me. At the end of the day, if the manager's a fan of the player, knows what he's good at, knows how to get the best out of him. He did it with Sarabia. He saved him, didn't he, when he was at Wolves? He brought him in there and just reinvigorated his career for the time he was there. So if he can do the same with Soler, then I'm all for it. I think it's a really good deal.
Sorry, I just want to bring your attention. We'll come back on to Carlos Soler because I think it's going to be the main topic of conversation. But breaking news is that Southampton have officially submitted a deal sheet for Cornet. That means that allows them to gain extra time to complete their move. I find this one fascinating.
Extra time to complete the medical.
Yeah, well, it's obviously to do with it's either the medical or it's I don't know why it takes so fucking long.
That calf injury, them calves of his, mate. Yeah. They're worse than people think. They're worse than I honestly think that they are so much worse than we have all been let on to believe, and that's why he doesn't play. I do honestly think that injury is a telling one, because I'm surprised we're letting him go because we're this one out and out left winger now.
Yeah,
in Somerville, you know what I mean? Because I know Kudus is playing there, but we can all tell that's not Kudus's role. He's not as effective out on that left hand side. So, it's like it's a position where we're being left short a little bit. But I understand the move because he isn't playing a lot at West Ham. Clearly wants to play more, wants to get more minutes. So, fair play. Southampton have actually had a good window. Actually, look at what they've done. They've had a good window.
I'm surprised out of all the players that he's gone to Forest and not Southampton. I don't know. You'd have thought they've gone right back in Premier League now. Let's get the boy back. Let's get the main man back. But they haven't gone for him. They've gone for Cornet instead, which is a bit strange to me. Maybe that's the position they need rather than what they don't need. It's funny you say that, Dan, about
they got Downs as well, didn't they? So, and I think Downs was playing in a similar position, so maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's go back to Carlos Soler. Over to you, Alex. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I haven't seen him play a huge amount. I'd heard of the player. I'd seen him play a couple of times, so I can't really give a testament to what kind of player he is. But going by some of the clips you see and going by some of the stats, he obviously looks like a very, very competent player and a player that is definitely suited to Lopetegui's system. And he does come highly rated as well. So I'm excited to see him. But as I say, from a personal point of view, I can't say that I've watched him a huge amount to be able to give a competent opinion on the player himself. And so, I do think he's going to be a good signing, and hopefully he will come in and do a job. I do wonder if he's kind of being eyed to be a Paquetá replacement. That's I think that's probably one of the reasons that he's been possibly brought in, because obviously we don't know what's going on with Paquetá, and I have seen some people liken him to the way Paquetá plays as well.
He just plays deeper though. That's the thing with Sola. I think a lot of people are getting confused. I think they think he's more of an attacking player, but he's actually deeper. He plays a deeper role, so I'm not sure on that. I think if Pac goes, I honestly think Kudos just slots in there because I think Kudos should play there anyway.
Yeah, no, I do as well. I do as well, and I think after watching the Palace game, he was playing in that deeper role. Pac's been playing in that deeper role, and Souček's been playing in the more attacking role. So I actually feel like Paquetá does a pretty decent job there. I mean, the defensive work that he does, I think it's just so underrated. It goes under the radar with a lot of fans. They don't realise how much defense. Yeah, I don't think people realise how much defensive work Paquetá actually does. He chases back. He can put in a challenge, and when he picks up that ball, he's nearly impossible to get off it. Absolutely, but yeah, he does give the ball away with his passing sometimes because he's trying to play those fancy passes. But I don't think you can knock his ball recovery and his work rate when it comes to his defensive duties. So in that respect, I probably would say that maybe they are very similar players, Paquetá and Sola, if Sola has that kind of work rate and ability to, not neglect his defensive duties, because Paquetá definitely hasn't been this season.
I think it's all about options. I think that's what Lopetegui wants. He wants options. He's the polar opposite to Moyes. Moyes had his 11. He'd always wait too long to make subs. Whereas, he wanted a small squad that he preferred working with that. Whereas Lop, he openly said, I want 2 good players in every position. I want to be able to, impact the game from the bench. If it's not happening, I want to be able to change formation. Like he did it against Villa. And, the biggest thing I said from the Villa game, even though we lost, it was entertaining. It was good to see a manager brave enough to change the system. He was good enough that it's nice to see the changes early. He takes risks, and I think that's what you need in modern football. And I think this is all about, even if Sola comes in and he isn't starting every week, but he comes off the bench and impacts it for 30 minutes. Or him and Paquetá rotate it. If Pac has a few games where he don't play well enough, and then you've got a Sola to come in. That's what it's all about. You need options. You need the depth in the squad.
I think it'd be interesting to see how he lines up against Man City tomorrow, because we all knew how Moyes would set up. He'd pretty much sit 10 behind the ball, play counter-attacking. How is Lopetegui going to set it up? I do think we'll see a slightly different system, especially in that midfield, where I think we will see Alvarez and Rodriguez alongside each other.
Yeah, I'll do as
and
well.
You probably will see Paquetá playing a little bit more advanced, or maybe he will change it up a little bit and have 3 in the midfield and then move Kudus and Bowen more centrally, not playing central, but being more supportive to try and run the channels when they need to and have a little bit more freedom. Maybe he'll go that way possibly. But I think what Lopetegui, what he wants to do is have a different team for different games, basically. For this game, this is the ideal formation I'd like to go with, and this is the ideal team. But for this game, maybe I'll go a little bit more attacking. I'll use this player in this position. And I think that's something that we'll see different this season as well.
Look,
I'll be honest with you. I think I've been a bit with all the signings this summer. I haven't done what I would normally do, just go straight on YouTube and watch clips and stuff like that. So Soler, for me, I'm just literally taking off everyone else's opinion. I've been kind of in a bit of a dream world with all the players brought in. I know obviously a few of who they are, but like Guilherme, I think I just come across the Twitter compilation of his skills and goals, whatever. Brilliant. But apart from that, I haven't looked at any of them, because there's a part of me as well, I want to be surprised by them as well, of how well they're going to play for us. And I've been so, I don't know, kind of pleasantly surprised that I'm letting it get on with it. I'm just going whoever comes in, brilliant. I'm accepting of anyone. It could be the worst player in the Championship at this time, but I'll believe that Lopetegui and Steidman have signed him for a reason. So I'm looking forward to it. And if he's as good as everyone says he is, he can bring to the team what everyone says he can bring to the team, then I'm all for it. And it sounds like a great deal. Two-year loan deal sounds a bit I saw one thing earlier. It sounds a little bit like, not dodgy, but it sounds
but you could well meet the obligation in the first year. So then,
no, I'm not
it's void, isn't it?
Yeah,
worked it in some way. The big thing is that is he going to be replaced by? Who's he going to replace in that team? It's good to have competition for places, but I'm literally not joking here. When Souček is still in the team, and you're kind of wondering who is he going to come out for in the team, how are they going to mix that midfield up? Because so far, I'm keeping on this whole thing of that once we will see the full idea of the system once all the players are in and they're playing, they're in full flow. But so far, it's been very much pass the ball around defence, play a direct ball, pass the ball around defence, play a direct ball, or get into midfield and then get a bit of shut out. So
the reason for this is, Luke, that midfield is limited.
Yeah, that's what
you can't play through midfield at the minute because Souček can't do it. No. Yeah, and then you've got Rodriguez and Alvarez who are ball winning players. They're not really like fantastic passers of football, so they're just ball winning players. So they're always going to go short to the man next to, and then Souček doesn't know what to do.
So Rodriguez had a couple of really decent diagonal balls in him against Bournemouth. He played a couple of really decent balls when he came on. Yeah. So he does have a decent pass on him. But they are basically ball winners. But they can.
We've had to ignore the midfield, is my point, because of the limitations in midfield at the minute. And I think that's why he's gone out there and got someone a bit more technical. But I am surprised that in these opening few games we played, Pack hasn't played next to the midfielder, and then they've played Somerville left and Kudos central. I'm surprised that hasn't been the go-to. But we don't know what goes on in training. Locke will probably be looking at it going, he's a little bit short. He ain't quite fit enough, But then give it 10 games, could be completely different. I always say you can't judge anything until you're 10 games in.
No, so as far as I'm understanding, is Soler's a bit of a Alvarez will win the ball, give it to Soler. Soler will win the ball.
Soler will make the midfield tick, and he will go box to box as well. He's essentially another Paquetá basically, but just does a bit more. He's a deeper player for me. I think he excels. He excels in a deeper role rather than behind the striker.
Fair play. I'm excited for it.
Do you see Paquetá and Soler starting in that middle at all, or is it one or the other?
No, if he continues to play Paquetá through the middle and Kudos left, then he'll play Soler and him together. Yeah, in my opinion, But if he changes it up and Somerville starts to come good, and then he makes that left wing role his own, then they can't both play, in my opinion.
No, it's just got to be one or the other.
It really depends on the system, the team we're playing. But because this is the thing that's going to surprise a lot of West Ham fans, I think, this season, is because we got so used to under Moyes the same 11 players every week, and even when they were out of form, he'd still play them. He was never had the bottle to drop anyone. Whereas with Lop, I think you're going to see it. If someone ain't doing it, he's going to bring someone else in. And I think, obviously the opening two games, we've seen players start that maybe some of the fans don't want. But like I said, we don't know what's going on in training. People could still be, off the boil. Alvarez is only just coming back from injury. Do I think Souček would have started if Alvarez had been fit at the beginning of the season? Maybe not. I think him and Rodriguez probably would have played a double pivot, in my opinion. But it all depends, doesn't it, on injuries, fitness, who's up to speed. Like Antonio. Antonio's starting still. Mental. I've said to you all in the chat, Souček and Antonio and Soufal starting in 2024 is criminal. They shouldn't be starting. They're not good enough for the Premier League to be starting anymore. But obviously, we were still working on AWB. We've got issues in midfield, and Fulkrug is new to the Premier League. So, you've got all these things to think of.
Well, I think one thing we've definitely seen an improvement on so far this season has been our defence. I think just looking at that defence, it just looks so much more solid than it ever did last year. And I remember particularly watching the Bournemouth game and seeing us playing out from the back. And I remember last season, anytime that Areola would pass it to Zuma, my heart was in my throat because I thought he's going to fuck this up. Or he passed it to Mavropanos, like he's going to fuck this up. But I don't get that same feeling now. I just don't. I just feel a little bit more confident that the players there, even when Mavropanos is there, I have a little bit more confidence. Because Mavropanos has looked better. Yeah, he's still got a mistake in him, but we haven't seen it so far this season. But then Kilman will have a mistake in him, like now and then. He will make a mistake. Players make mistakes. And I think the idea is hopefully they can reduce the amount of mistakes that they make. But no, I've got a lot more confidence in that defence being able to play with the ball than I was ever at any point last season. So, and the fact that we've kept 2 clean sheets, which is more clean sheets than we've kept since January. I don't know. We haven't been able to keep clean sheets in forever. That is a plus. And now we've got that defence with Wan-Bissaka and Kilman really coming in. Then it's onto the midfield, and we got to work on keeping the ball and being more creative with it. And I think Solar will come in and help with that massively.
Before you go, because I know you need to go, mate, I want to bring up another player that was rumoured to be heading out the door, but looks like he's staying and wants to fight for his position. It's Andy Irving. He was rumoured to be going to Scotland to Celtic. Celtic's shown a bit of an interest in him, but he himself apparently is knocking that back and saying he wants to stay and fight for his chance. A good decision by him.
Well, fair play. Like, you can't knock the lad for wanting to try and get in the team, can you? You know, like, there's going to be opportunities in the cup, in my opinion. But I don't know. The thing is, he's a complete unknown. This is the thing with him. He's a complete unknown. We see a bit of him in pre-season. He looked half decent, but he is like a complete unknown. So, you know, it's like, I really don't know what to make of it or him. So, yeah, fair play to the lad. Clearly taken in by the West Ham, you know, family that's obviously there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Alex?
No, again, I mean, I can't really disagree with anything Dan said there. I mean, he is very much an unknown. We haven't really seen a huge amount of him, but what we have seen of him, I think he looks fairly decent, and I think he deserves a chance. Do I think he'll actually get many chances? Not convinced by that, considering the players that we're bringing in, but given injuries, he could be a player that could do a job, possibly.
Okay. Before you go though, Dan.
Yes.
This has now been confirmed by other people in the mainstream media. Darmish and Sky Sports are now reporting that this deal for Aguerd is close to being done, which is a loan deal for Aguerd to head to Real Sociedad on loan, and both parties are confident of beating the deadline. So they are finalising the deal for West Ham defender Nayef Aguerd. He'll move to the Liga side on a season-long loan. It's a straight loan, no option, no obligation. And that means that he'd be gone and we'd be left with 3 centre-backs. But do you know what? There's 2 ways to look at it. Yeah,
still got 38 minutes to sign one.
Yeah. I'll just quickly jump on a plane and fly down there because I used to play centre-back back in the day. But
is there any free transfers available? Because we can still bring one of those in.
You know who's going to get linked, don't you? Hummels is definitely going to get linked straight away. But his legs are gone. They were gone 2 years ago.
Has he not found a club yet? I thought he found something.
I don't think so. I don't think he has. I could be wrong, though. I haven't really been keeping up with it, to be honest with you. We will see.
So, again, we're just waiting on Dan. Are you needing to head, mate?
Yes.
Right, cool. Thanks very much for joining us.
See you later, boys.
Take it easy and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that, Dan. Sorry, I'm just listening to stuff in the background. We're waiting just for the final confirmation on Carlos Soler. Both clubs are... Hold on, I'm just listening to it as we speak. I need to pull this earphones out. So, Carlos Soler is literally just waiting to be announced, apparently. So that will be happening. Whether or not that gets announced before 11 p.m, but the deal will be done, obviously, before 11 p.m. And like we said, the deal for Max Cornet going to Southampton, the paperwork has been submitted, so we just have to wait to make sure that does get finalised, Alex. It's interesting. I think I think on the basis of that deal for Aguerd going through, unless we've got something we're working on secretly, it's one little concern. It's one little concern. It's not the end of the world, but it is a concern. It's a concern based upon injuries.
Yeah, I think at this point it's one of those things where is there much there's no need to really concern ourselves about it until we need to concern ourselves about it. I mean, it may never happen. I try not to worry about things that may never happen. You know, all our defenders could stay 100% fit for the whole season and it not be an issue. Is that likely to happen? No, but it could happen. And we have got less games to play, so there'll be more recovery time and things like that. So, yeah, but it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but we've got enough players elsewhere to be able to cover if needs be in Alvarez and Rodriguez if we ever get in that situation that we can provide cover.
Do you think that there's a? Do you even remotely think there's a surprise? Do you know how there was this rumor kicking about saying West Ham have got a surprise coming? Do you think there is a surprise?
I think it was that Cho Coin or whatever it was. That was the possible one, and I think that was in the case of it was dominoes having to fall, and I think the dominoes that were falling were Sancho to Chelsea, Sterling to Arsenal, and then him obviously. Sterling. It was Sancho to Chelsea. And then Sterling to Arsenal, that would mean that he may be available. But I think we've looked at it and he was going to cost too much, possibly. But I think that was the surprise. Or maybe one of the surprise was that we are still looking at Chelsea players, possibly. I mean, we are cutting it fine at this point. I think it's very unusual that you hear anything else at this point of the window. But you never know. You never know.
No, I know, absolutely. Like I said, we're just waiting to hear all the kind of final deals. Free transfer on deadline day. Carlton Cole, he's currently with TalkSport, and Big Jim and Carlton Cole are doing a show across there. They've actually changed their studio. It actually looks quite cool. It literally looks like a carbon copy of Sky Sports. What they've done. Hope Uncle Ogbonna smashes it at Watford. Mavro's going to have a good season, I reckon. Probably not loads of minutes, but going to play well when he does. I really hope that is true. But I am concerned. I'm not going to lie to you. I definitely am concerned. Let's see here. Would keep Rodriguez and Alvarez in the middle against City. Soler can't play as it's too late to register him. Absolutely. Irving could be a surprise of the season. Looks lively. Can you see Carlton Cole and Jim now? Alex,
I've just. What are they on?
Yeah, they're on
Sky.
On X.
Oh, they're on X. I haven't got the X up. I haven't got the X up at the moment. No, I've got the YouTube up at the moment.
I'm just listening to what they're saying just now. Yeah, so if you're in the chat now, just let us know your thoughts on the impending deal that takes Aguerd away from West Ham. Earlier or late last night, going into the morning, there was a rumor about West Ham and Spurs and Celso coming to West Ham. I mean, that's a prime example of just bullshit stories, isn't it?
No, I've just seen the comments in the thing. Apparently, the Carlos Soler is a straight loan without options.
Okay.
And I think it's probably because we were a race against time to get that done. But it appears that the terms of the loan deal for Carlos Soler have changed, and that if he signs, it will be a straight loan without options.
Right. So two.
So there's no confirmation on the length of that loan, no. Yeah. But if that's a 2-year loan, I don't think we'd have to worry about that. We can probably negotiate a full-on deal if we need to at some point.
I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah.
No, I mean it's at least a season-long loan. So
the key thing here, James, about the word is option. I mentioned this earlier on when we started. The key word you really want to be looking for is obligation. Option or no option is technically the same thing. It's technically the same thing. The obligation is the force to deal. It's just basically putting back the transfer fee by a year. An option or not having an option does not mean if you don't have an option, you can't buy that player and can't negotiate with that team. So I'm not necessarily worried about the option.
I think an option to buy kind of puts a figure on it. I think then maybe you have an option to buy him for this amount.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really what that confirms, doesn't it? Yeah.
He could perform absolutely amazing, and his value could double from what it is now to the end of his loan deal. So that is a concern when there is no option involved.
It looks like Wolves are about to announce a Brazilian, but nobody knows who the Brazilian is.
It looked like a goalkeeper.
Is that who it is?
I don't know.
They haven't announced it yet. Let me have a look.
I saw it pop up on their Twitter.
Oh, it does look like a keeper.
It does look like a keeper, doesn't it?
Has he put gloves down? Is that what he's done?
No, it's just a kit. He's put something down.
Let's see what he puts down. It's a top.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Have they got another Brazilian there or something? Did you see Aaron Ramsdale's announcement?
Yeah, a bit confused. Well, I know he stood in the stands and did that.
He likes to dress up, doesn't he? Apparently,
yeah, he does. Whilst everyone's here and we're waiting on some of the stuffs, the news to come in. If you haven't already, what's this here? If you haven't already, go check out West Ham Network Extra.
Yes, do. Yeah. Go
and give that a subscribe. Go and give that a thumbs up. That's the cousin channel to the West Ham Network. Alex is the main geezer across there. Some really cool content. In particular, I really enjoy your vlogs. I know there's a mixture of opinion on vlogs, but I really enjoy your vlogs because if I don't get to the game, then you give me a real good insight into the game, and that really suits me, and I like that. So,
I enjoy making the away ones a lot more than the home ones. The home ones can be a little bit, but the away one for Crystal Palace is up, and I think that one's a great one. But there'll be match opinions, and usually there's opposition chats, but fell through yesterday. And when there's not, there'll just be me talking like I do on my TikTok takeovers on Tuesdays, which I didn't do this week. Family commitments, but I'll be back doing that on Tuesday through the international break, and possibly we'll be talking about a win, an unexpected win against Man City. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Mate, it absolutely would be amazing if we can somehow pull something off. Then that would be amazing. Now, listen, there's a lot of messing about here now with 29 minutes to go. People are saying, "Oh, West Ham's still got a chance of getting John Duran." I think that ship has sailed. But in terms of John Duran in general, do you think we've missed out on him? And it's gonna have a negative impact on us.
It's too hard to tell. I mean, he looks like a very decent player. There is no doubt about that. Looks like a very, very exciting player. But I think it's his attitude that that was brought up a lot by Aston Villa fans. And how he likes to twerk. He was twerking for Chelsea in January, then he was kind of like twerking for us, and now he's apparently quite happy to stay at Aston Villa. Now he knows he can't get a move. I think he was always looking for a move elsewhere, and he was probably only ever going to be a player that came in to us for a couple of seasons and then would want to move on to a bigger club if he did well. Is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily, but sometimes a player like that can upset the harmony of the club behind the scenes and can cause problems. But yeah, it could very well be a missed opportunity for us, or it could be a lucky escape. Probably.
Do you remember?
Do
you remember the Brazilian Andre, the West Ham were linked to a few years ago, as were Liverpool?
Yes.
Andre,
I remember that name.
That's who Wolves have signed. 23-year-old Brazilian international. That looks like a bit of a kind of out of the blue good deal, I think, that they've brought in. Andre to Wolves from Fluminense. Do you not remember we were after him for everyone's reference? No,
I remember his name, yeah.
Do you know why you will remember him? Because he had a moustache. Let me just get you the picture.
We linked with so many players.
No, I know, but this one was Andre Brazil. Let me just show you everyone for your reference. I'm just getting it up now, hopefully. so people can just see. I think that's a bit of a. I think that's a really good signing by them. Just kind of out of the blue. I didn't even hear that one. Here we are. I'll bring him up for you now. See if
I
you
get the
can-
feeling I heard something on that earlier. Yeah, I recognise
What? I guarantee you will recognise this one more than anything. This picture I'm about to put up. This is the one that you'll recognise. That's probably not the best picture, but I know for a fact I'll be shocked if you don't recognise this one. Because this is the one that was circulating at the time that we were linked to bringing him in. Where is it? There he is there.
Yeah, I recognise that. I can't remember a huge amount about it. This was a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
I think it was only really in the last year.
Was it? Was it one that we were? Because I mean, I've been talking transfers for. I can't. I remember I think I remember everyone. I remember the face. I remember that image, but I can't remember much else about it.
Yeah,
to be honest. But
it was a defensive midfielder. I think at that point that's when we.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Declan Rice replacement. Yeah.
Another bit of breaking news: Wilfried Zaha has joined Olympic Lyon from Galatasaray. It looks like it's a loan deal that gets him out of Turkey. I think that is I think there's a tax loophole. Is the reason why he couldn't come back to the UK.
Yeah, so, I mean that's what scuppered a lot of our moves in the past, hasn't it? A lot of the ones, the guys that were in Saudi Arabia. So we had the Jota one, didn't we, in January? That was just a nightmare when it comes to the tax implications. So yeah, I'm not surprised that if there is a loophole somewhere that they get found out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just waiting on the final details again, like I said, from Carlos Soler. But I mean, is there? God, I'm just trying to think about all these players potentially going out. We haven't had confirmation yet of James Ward-Prowse. We haven't had confirmation of Max Cornet. We haven't had confirmation of Zuma. We haven't had confirmation of Aguerd.
No,
and we haven't had confirmation of Carlos Soler. We've had confirmation of 4 players leaving the club, nor 1 player coming into the club. I feel like we've been talking about them all day.
No, yeah, we have been talking. I kind of expected there to be confirmation of a few by now. I mean, you don't always get the confirmations until after 11, but once the paperwork's submitted, and then sometimes they want to get all the all the filming done and things like that. But
yeah,
Zuma is not really an issue because their transfer window closes later. So if that doesn't happen today, that's not an issue. Aguerd, that needs to happen by a certain time. If that's not done, then that deal won't get done.
Yeah, we'll wait to see the paperwork or whatever. Well, we literally just got the deal done for Zaha. He's pictured in the top already.
Yeah. No, I've just seen the top. Prowse and Cornet, I think that's just basically maybe a formality, but it's interesting that Southampton have requested more time. Yep. Thank you for following me, Ellis. That's very kind of you. You can follow me over on TikTok as well if you want to see more up-to-date news and stuff where I post a lot more over there. The West Ham Network Extra, I'll try and get 5 or 6 posts out a week. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's not. But when I'm not posting, Anne here likes to contribute as well with some fantastic videos. But over on TikTok, I post on the daily. And I also talk other things, football-related, Premier League and Cups and Europe as well. So yeah, that's West Ham Fan 86 if you're interested over there.
Anyway, saying what's going on with Danny Ings? Nothing. He is in his bed. He's in his bed. He's chilling out and he's fighting for his position at West Ham. So yeah, nothing
from his bed.
Danny Ings. Yep, from his bed. Unless there's loads of shit going on we have no idea about behind the scenes. So the thing is, if Carlos Soler, I mean, they're obviously still at the training ground. I don't know, man. The whole thing's mental. The whole thing is mental, mate.
Well, the last update I saw from Mick says that we're in a rush to get it done, which of course is going to worry a load of people. I'm surprised there hasn't been a full meltdown yet on Twitter. but I'm sure that is incoming, especially if we don't get that deal done. We can't have that situation again, like we did in January, where we let a load of players go, but we don't bring any kind of replacements in.
Yeah,
we can't let James Ward-Prowse go and not kind of have that solid deal done,
tied up.
Yeah. So,
like I said, I'm really surprised that they haven't announced any of the other players heading out. Especially someone like James Ward-Prowse, who's ready to go, fit, rocking and rolling.
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it is. Obviously, we've seen him. We've seen him walk into the stadium. I've got that image there for everyone to see. That's him walking into the Nottingham Forest setup. Benrahma will be warming the bench again now. That's for Lyon, obviously, after them signing what's his name? Wilfred Zaha, a player that West Ham
that's not
strongly
live.
linked to right back at the start of the thing. What's that?
So I was just watching something on YouTube, and it showed the time behind it, and it's about 20 minutes behind. I was like, YouTube's not even live.
Yeah.
It's behind by 20 minutes. Why would you want to watch something that's behind by 20 minutes? So I've got Sky Sports in here, so I can't watch anything in here.
Oh, God.
So I'm literally relying on Twitter updates at the moment.
Yeah. Jadon Sancho will join Chelsea with immediate effect. Everything goes according to plan now. All done, sealed with Manchester United. Interestingly enough, the obligation for him apparently set to £25 million. Now, I know that's really low, but his
Sancho.
Wow. His weekly salary will probably be through the roof, and that's probably why he's joining Chelsea, especially the fact if they're getting rid of Raheem Sterling, but they're probably subsidising that one as well.
Well, that's probably, I think they're the only two teams that can do business fairly easily, Manchester United and Chelsea, because they both put their players on silly contracts or have silly clauses in their contracts, which makes them fairly difficult to deal with at times. So, because obviously we had all those troubles with Aaron Wan-Bissaka because of the amount of money he was on.
Yeah,
but
well, listen, we've got a guest. But I mean, I'm shocked he's even. I'm shocked he's turned up. I mean, I don't know. He goes on about 5 million holidays a year, and yeah, he just turns up when he wants. He turns up when he wants.
When he wants. Turns up when he wants. DJ Rusty B turns up when he wants.
Right, Russ, what are you breaking to us? Come on.
What I'm breaking first. I am breaking that.
He pulled his hammy on the way to his chair.
Yeah, I think DG.
And did you hear about that Arsenal new signing, Marino?
Yeah,
yes.
did it in a first thing, innit?
First training session, went over, fell on, and dislocated his shoulder or something, possibly.
Yeah, he's out for months now.
Yeah, that is bad luck, isn't it?
That's West Ham. That's like a West Ham signing, isn't it?
Shh.
Yeah, but it's though, isn't it? It's like how many times we've done it before where a player we signed and then get injured like within the first couple of weeks. But
this is true. Yeah.
Oh well.
Rusty, how are you feeling about it? I know you've been keeping an eye on the West Ham world.
Always.
You've not been doing much content over the last week, so what's your thoughts on everything? No, I mean in that we've not heard your opinion. Is the point I'm trying to make, even though you've been a lazy fuck.
Do you know what I think? I think to be perfectly honest, I think it's probably us, maybe two other teams who you could say have won the transfer window. Who's this bloke exactly? I just think it's. I mean, obviously, I was at Rush Green today, and it just seemed there have been people running all over the fucking place today. Everything seems to be a bit lastminute.com. We've had this sort of been trying to get rid of the likes of Aguerd and people like that all summer, and now it's with 17 minutes left. It seems things are still moving, and it was quite. I was sort of over listening to some conversations that some of the staff were having. They were saying, this whole transfer window, does it help us? Or does it hinder us? And I think it really does. Everyone's trying to pull a fast on lastminute.com, innit? It seems this whole it's like Sancho as well. Sancho rather. that's been going all summer as well, and then Sterling, and it's all going to the wire, and someone will miss out, but I think regardless of what happens in terms of, I was quite disappointed. I think frustrated. I don't really know about JWP. I just think being a straight swap, it's like, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? A straight loan. What's the point? I'd rather keep him in the squad. He's not on massive wages. But yeah, I mean, Aguerd's obviously wanting to go all summer, in it, and it's like now it looks like it's finally happening. I was listening to you guys beforehand, and talking about maybe leaving ourselves a little bit light in the centre back position. I think we have a little bit. We've got 3 first choice recognised centre halves now. When what's name goes, with obviously Zuma going as well, so we are a little bit light in that. So obviously you have the likes of Caden Casey. He didn't play tonight actually, Caden, but you've got the likes of him can come in. Louise Al played 90 minutes today, so he's not fucking off to a Portuguese or Brazilian club.
No, there was talk of him leaving for like the good last few weeks or so, haven't there?
Exactly, and he played all right today. He played all right tonight.
Is he not happy? Does he want to move on, or is he just not someone that we think's going to progress?
Yes, I don't think he will progress.
No.
He's not a good enough player. It's like I don't see someone like Caden really becoming a regular first team player either. Centre half, I think he'd be a good championship player at best. But Louise Al played like the full 90 minutes tonight, and because obviously we played back 3 for the under 21s as well. But I think when it's all said and done, again on paper we've done a good transfer window. Now they've got to perform on the pitch now. We haven't seen anything. We've seen glimpses of the Folk. We've seen, obviously Kilman, I think, has been a man of the match performer for each one of his games he's played since the beginning of the season. I think obviously Wan-Bissaka, I think he's going to be an absolute. I think he's going to be one of those ones that slightly a sleeper signing. Do you know what I mean? Sort of under the radar. He was 15 million quid, but he's going to be imperative. He's going to be like Emerson is in our side now. He's going to be the same on the right-hand side, and I think we're going to see a hell of a good player. And, Man United are going to be kicking themselves getting rid of him, for sure. Absolutely, for sure.
There's quite a bit of news out here. Read this at the bottom there. Chelsea made Napoli striker Victor Osimhen their final offer this evening. They've still not heard back with 20 minutes to the deadline, so they've now resigned that to being a deal off. However, I'm just listening to it now. They're saying if they come back quickly and say, "Yeah, let's go," then it will go.
Yeah. Well, it's been crazy because obviously because you got LL here yesterday, and that was all agreed, and that fell through. But at the same time, they agreed the thing with Tony. They can't buy both because of the player foreign quotas.
Jacob Steinberg has just tweeted something about Maxwel Cornet completing his loan move to Southampton.
I have just seen that.
I kind of saw that coming.
I think you saw that coming on the basis of the fact that he's been there since yesterday and they're still doing a fucking medical on him.
But then I've just seen another report come up 10 seconds later saying he's completed his medical and stuff has been and sheets have been submitted.
Yeah.
This is a really. I'll tell you what. This is what's really interesting and this is to highlight the world of information that people get fed, and this is why the only information you can trust is when you see the player on the website holding the shirt. Jacob Steinberg 23 seconds ago said what Alex said, some doubt about the Maxwel Cornet completing his loan move, and Sky Sports have announced that Seth said it's the medical and it's a race against time now to get the deal done. So just be mindful.
Maybe that's what he meant by there's doubt that we'll get the deal done in time. Yeah. It doesn't really give you a lot of context.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been funny. I mean, this has been going for the last 24 hours. It's like, we had deals, clearly they're not. I mean, they've already signed Ryan Fraser on the 2-year deal today. So that to me means that's a winger already. So I think they're pushing terms on us. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they're doing what we always do. I
was just about to say what Happy said. 5-year deal for Eddie Nketiah has joined Crystal Palace. I mean, once upon a time was linked to West Ham.
Is there a player that's not been linked to West Ham?
Well, that's true, though. Russ will know the number. Well, I don't know. You've been gone for a week, so you might not know the number now.
I keep it up. I think we're 205.
There you go. Look, do you think we've missed out on someone like Eddie and Nketiah, or was it just too much money for what they were looking for?
I don't think we've missed out on him. But I think I'll give him his due. I think he's a better player than I thought he is. I think when Arsenal relied on him for a little while, was it last season or the season before that? Everyone had the doubts, and he started scoring for a few games. And I was talking to a few Arsenal fans, and they said that what they like about him is that everyone's got. I think a few people had him down as somebody with an attitude problem, but apparently he's not. Apparently he's the complete opposite. Apparently he like has always tried to just fight for his place, knowing that he's probably never really going to get an opportunity. And I think Mateta's obviously the main striker there, isn't he, at Palace? So I can't see him being the open gate to go and be the main striker. But if he's got somewhere where he'll get more game time there, then he might have been good for us. But I think he's one of those players as well that he needs a team to play to his strengths. The Arsenal attacking team, so they're going to give him opportunities. Whether we would give him those opportunities, I don't know. Whether Palace would give him them opportunities, but maybe with a player like Eze, it'll be better for him. But yeah, I don't think we've missed out on him. That's why I think Danny Ings is a good player to keep on, because if you've got someone with pace who can just break behind the defence, then it's a good plan C. And Kitty, I think, doesn't want to be a plan C. I think he wants to be a plan B or a plan A. So we've been linked with him about 400 times anyway over the last 5 years. So we missed out on him. There's a reason for it.
Yeah, I see as him being one of those players who's just going to be, a decent striker. I don't think he's ever going to do anything special. I think he's one of those strikers that you might see get, 8 or 9 goals a season. One season he may have a really good season, get 15, but he'll just do a decent job, and he'll be a decent striker for someone. Probably, someone around the mid-table. So probably usually would be a kind of striker that we would go for and we would end up getting, even though our record with striker, which is shocking. But no, it doesn't surprise me that he's gone to Palace, and I think he'll do a decent job there.
Right, he'll get the odd England cap when players are out. When players are, for friendlies and things like that. I don't think we missed out on him. I just think it was just another name that people have gone, we should have got him, but I don't think we were generally in for him. I think the amount of players, Alex said, the amount of players we've been in for is ridiculous. And I think we take him all with a grain of salt. 206 players we've been linked with this transfer window. We've signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12, including the academy players.
I think Arsenal were trying to break the record for quickest medical ever done. Just saw a tweet come up 12 seconds ago that Sterling's at Arsenal's training ground for his medical. So they're going to complete a medical and sign all the deals in 8 minutes.
Well, I think they can get another 2 hours. They get submit the paperwork. That's it.
Of course. No, they don't.
And it's a loan as well. That's the thing, because they're loans. They're not as stringent. That's why the Cornet thing is why it's a loan deal rather than paying money. Because obviously that they would never buy him because he's crook. Whereas
people are spotting John Duran walking around East London, by the way, just in case anyone doesn't know.
I walked past him.
Did you walk past him?
He was at the under-21s game, wasn't he? Just
Sat opposite me. It was me, Kevin Keane, Kenny Brown, and then Duran was the other side with
having a chat with Steiden.
Carlos Soler. They were talking to each other.
He looks like a double bubble, doesn't he?
They were house sharing. They're house sharing now.
Makes sense.
We have 7 minutes officially.
Are there any transfers that you guys have gone for other clubs that you think, shit, would have liked him?
Solanke.
Really?
Yeah.
But well, 65 million quid.
I wouldn't have paid 65 million quid for him, but I do think he's going to be, unfortunately, a really, really good goddamn signing for him this season.
When he's fit.
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's the.
I really do.
It could be the Spurs curse, and I'm fucking hoping it is, because I think I just think they've also got a bit of a curse that we've got in terms of when we.
No, they've just got the trophy curse.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, and that does have a that's the thing they want the most. Their fans have tapped out of everything else except for getting a fucking trophy. They're desperate for a trophy. Yeah.
Yes, Solanke already injured though. That is funny as fuck. It didn't have a single injury last season. Goes to Tottenham, gets an injury.
Always away. No, I was I mean, looking at some of the players that we've been linked to who have gone. Obviously, the likes of Conor Gallagher. I mean, obviously, I think the Chalobah one was an interesting one because he's gone to Palace, and there's no obvious first team spot for him there. Obviously, although Anderson's gone, they brought in Lacroix, he's a fucking good player. He's a really good player. Maxwel Lacroix, I think he's a very good player. But Chalobah just seems a bit of a strange one. Why we didn't, whether we pushed harder or whether he was asking too much money.
Dan and Alex and Luke, we were talking about that earlier on, and everyone who said, in theory, weren't that bothered that we didn't go for him, and they gave their valid reasons. The valid reasons were he's not been playing, and
and he probably wouldn't be playing.
Yeah,
if everyone's fit, he's not getting into the starting lineup. He's not getting ahead. He's not getting ahead of Todibo probably. Unless he is absolutely 100%.
He's not getting ahead of Todibo. Todibo's fine. Todibo will be our starting centre back, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean there is a possibility he could get in front of Mavropanos, but he's not getting in front of Gilman. And I feel that's why I just wasn't overly fussed by it. But I think it was Dan who made a really good point that it would have been great to bring in, a young up and coming one, 18, 19 years old, maybe from the lower leagues or something that looks like he could do something in the future to be a backup and to come in. That might have been something that we could have explored. But at the same time, those players would want game time as well. So. Yeah, it's difficult trying to bring in a centre back that not going to start.
It must be difficult, for him. Someone like him, I mean, even now going to Palace, it's the likelihood is he's not going to start because they haven't sold what's the name, and they've just spent a lot of money bringing in Lacroix, and so although Glasner sometimes does play the back three.
Really?
I just think, he has played before.
Sorry. Reece Nelson is now going Fulham, not Ipswich. Apparently.
Arsenal boys.
Well, yeah.
Reece Nelson is going to Arsenal to join Emil Smith Rowe.
I tell you what, though.
I didn't expect that one.
The winners of this window are Burnley. Burnley's announcement videos have been phenomenal today. They've had clips from the IT crowd, all these absolutely brilliant.
They've been doing that for years with their announcement videos. Burnley, really, they've been doing that for years. They're just now smart. I think it's really it's clever what they do with their videos. I liked Earthy's one for Bristol City. I love that. I thought that was brilliant.
That's the thing. We're so boring now, isn't it? It's just stock. Curtain, black, brown, claret curtain. Get the flag of the player, drape it round. It's just boring now.
Yeah, I think he added. I think the idea behind our announcement videos this year was a bit more of a serious kind of note to them to say we mean business.
Maybe
this season, and because all those announcement videos just look very, very smart. Very,
that's the key word. I think smart because Russ, you sent the video through of the fan who went through everyone's team sheets.
Yes,
and he simply says that some West Ham are being so simple, so straightforward, straight to the point, and smart. And I do like that. I really do like that. We're talking about something really random, by the way. If anyone,
what I don't just on that, what I don't get is that don't get the little tease, the blurred photo tease before they announce the signing.
like 5 minutes before.
There's literally,
we know who it's going to be.
Yeah, but you know why though? It's all that stuff generates more views.
No, I get it. But it seems like if that was done the night before, maybe, or like I don't know. It just seems almost like it's like a waste of time.
Remember when we signed like Anderson or even Paqueta? We put Paqueta on the fucking roof, if you remember.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and you know, it just seemed. I think Troy's a lot like several of the players this year we signed in quick succession, and I think a lot of them were sort of under the radar a little bit, so you couldn't do the full production and things like that as well.
It was a cost saving. It was a cost saving. That's what it was. We knew we were selling so many players, so we just basically just reused kind of like the same idea each time, just to save a little bit of money there. So we had a little bit more to spend on transfers. You know, we didn't want to go playing copyright for part of the In-Betweeners film or something like that. You know what I mean?
And the deadline done. We're done. It's all over.
Well, we're done for the next hour. Then we've got to wait an hour and a half until until everything's been signed, sealed, and delivered.
Well, you can wait that half, mate.
Happens when it happens, doesn't it?
Oh god, the transfer window has officially closed for the 2020, actually for 2024 as a whole, because it won't come back now officially till 2025.
So if we've got Soler now, is he announced tomorrow?
He can, yeah. I mean, he can be announced whenever now, as long as the paperwork's been done. As long as the paperwork was filed before 11 o'clock, you've got another hour. So it might have already been done, but they might be doing the black.
I think.
West Ham announced 5 seconds ago that Ward-Prowse has signed for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, so you'll get all them will happen now. So you'll get all the this one's happening.
I think it would be an idea to announce it before the City game starts, because if we lose to them by quite a few tomorrow, it won't be as.
Well, don't forget it's a 5:30 kickoff, so we've got all morning.
Yeah, but
so that could well happen. That's what does that's why I think it could be all done and dusted tomorrow. Announced, or that don't necessarily tonight, but announced tomorrow. But if they're starting to already announce that JWP's gone, I'm sure you'll get the announcement about other stuff very shortly as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Cornet is also.
I don't think he'll go. I think it's too late to turn. I think they've always signed Ryan Fraser, so they've signed him on a 2-year deal. So I think it'll. I don't think he'll. I think they had Cornet as backup in case Ryan Fraser didn't pull in properly. Oh, I'm gutted about that.
I think I am. Well. Yeah.
He's going to score his first free kick. He's going to score.
But also, it's not against us. Actually, no, he's on loan. He can't play against us, can he?
No.
Yeah. It's just very. I can't remember who said it, but I saw a quote earlier. I can't remember where I saw it. It's very West Ham of James Ward-Prowse to come to West Ham, and the only set piece he scores was a corner.
Yeah.
Very West Ham.
Fine. Well, is he ever scored a corner before in his career? So he might be the first team he's ever scored a corner for.
Possibly.
I don't know. I feel I agree with that point though about. I think he. What was the thing that we called him last year? Oh, the name for James Ward-Prowse.
I heard him called a lot of names.
No, what was the name though? They called it the cheat code.
Cheat code, yeah.
Because there is an element of cheat code about him. Like you bring him on. I mean, I just like a player that can create absolutely something from absolutely nothing, and he is that player. I would have rather got rid of Tommy Soucek over James Ward-Prowse. But you know what? At the end of the day, this works. This pays. This is a good. That's a good deal for him and for West Ham. He goes on loan, and if he is very, very good, then he gets a chance to potentially come back to West Ham. And if he doesn't, and even if he is good and he can't comes back to West Ham and he can't, then West Ham can then push for a better deal to try and push him on. It just works for everyone. I think it's a good deal. It's a shame it's not worked out, but it's a good deal.
It does. And if it frees up the space for Soler to come in, who some of the manager wants, is the head coach wants, and Tim wants. JWP was very much was a Moyes signing, and clearly doesn't fit how Lopetegui wants to play.
No,
Fair enough. Fair enough. You know, these things happen. New manager comes in, different mentality, wants to change stuff. And if Carlos is going to come in and JWP is moved out, as you said, it's a straight loan. So, you know, it's only in our benefit. He gets game time, maybe even gets back into England squad. You know, if he's playing continual football for a decent side and playing well, that's good news for West Ham, you know, because if we do choose to sell him next summer, you know, that ups his value potentially. So
I'll feel a lot better about it if we get Soda over the line.
yes.
If we don't, then I might be a little bit irritated. I will be irritated about that.
Because it only had rumblings of last year where we were desperate for a left-sided player, and then on the last day we get rid of Fornells
and Benrahma
when we really needed a left-sided player. But we've done our business and bought the players in we need now before we started shipping them out. Now, whether the flip side is we may well have a squad now which
Jacob Steinberg has just said that Nayef Aguerd to associate that is done.
Well, there we go. I was about to say including Nayef Aguerd, but that's not going to include him now. If that's what Steinberg says.
So James Ward-Prowse is the main set piece taker. Who we thinking set piece taker will be?
Kudus and Bowen.
Kudus, yeah.
Kudus can take a mean free kick, but JWP takes them anyway.
Yeah.
And Bowen's been taking the corners anyway this season because
I think it's the best corner kick he's taken in a while. But there you go.
I reckon Paquetá's got a free kick in as well.
I reckon as well. Take penalties, all right. So why not free kicks?
I think he's got that ability. But yeah, no, Kudus definitely to take him. Emerson, I think he may be able to take a decent free kick. He's got a really. I think left footers are really good free kick takers.
We could do some Bowen. That'll be it.
Leganes, who are in La Liga, have signed Sebastian Haller.
Really?
On loan. They're currently 6th in La Liga, to be fair, but they have only just played 3 games. But yeah, they've taken him on loan from Borussia Dortmund.
Wasn't Haller second to Fulcrum at Dortmund?
Don't know.
Who are you surprised didn't? Is there any positions that you're surprised any teams in the Premier League didn't strengthen in this season?
Well, I'm surprised Newcastle. You know,
I expected them.
Kendall, bless her, she just put on Twitter.
Just seen it.
Just put Newcastle put the dead in deadline day. You know, we're threatening.
She has been tweeting all day, and she just said I'd seen one of her tweets about 5 minutes ago, and it said, "I'm sitting here 5 minutes ago, sitting here actually thinking Newcastle are going to do a deal, even though I know they're not."
That sounds like us, because that's exactly what we used to be like. We're still waiting to see if we've got that deal over the line.
Her positive she took from it was that, and I genuinely, and I spoke to a lot of the Newcastle fans coming out of the game last year, and they thought they would not have. They did not think they would have Guimaraes. They did not think they would have Isaac.
No,
and obviously then they've got what's his chops coming back, the Italian.
Tonali.
Tonali, yeah.
I mean, realistically, they brought in Lloyd Kelly, not bad player. They brought in a bloke from Nottingham Forest. They made
They didn't get that Langer deal done, did they?
No. They brought in Lewis Hall permanently. John Ruddy as a third choice goalkeeper. Some bloke I've never heard of called Pivas, and Osula from Sheffield United.
Yeah, I wasn't
we're worried that we might be a little bit light centre off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I feel Newcastle's definitely one of them. Liverpool, strange. I think they made one signing,
particularly with a new manager as well. You think that's a bit
the biggest
weird.
surprise in the whole window is Liverpool,
and they've got rid of a lot of players and let a lot of players go. What's name left? Did he? Newcastle, Harrison Ashby gone to QPR on loan. That's worked out well for him. That move.
I agree with Alfie. Yeah, Arsenal. I'm surprised they didn't get a striker.
But they never do, though. I just don't think. As I was talking to an Arsenal fan the other day, and they don't. The way they play doesn't need a striker. You know, they've had Havertz playing there, and
I don't feel like they've strengthened, and they haven't strengthened the attack enough, and that's what let them down last season because they defensively they were brilliant, and that's pretty much what they've looked to strengthen their defense. But it didn't really need strengthening. So yeah, I feel like Arsenal needed a natural kind of goal scorer in a way. But that's my opinion.
They haven't had one for years. Like a proper, and Nketiah's in and out of the squad. Jesus has been in and out for injury and stuff.
Who's the last genuine sort of striker they had? It's the tip of my tongue.
Banyang?
They're
Banyang?
Lacazette.
They're putting a lot of faith back in Gabriel Jesus, aren't they?
Yeah.
Who's injured at the moment, isn't he?
He's a good player, but he's just not. I don't know. He's not a reliable finisher, is he?
Sorry, a bit of a swerve here on the conversation, but did anyone see the pre-announcement from Leeds United today? Freddie Mercury. Hey-oh! I thought it was fucking brilliant.
Oh, Ayo Tanaka, yeah. We were linked to him, weren't he, from Dusseldorf?
Oh, man. I thought it was actually brilliant. And I'm seeing so many people gutted about JWP. Literally, I mean, I don't like him in that top. It doesn't work for me.
Nah.
What, in the red and white top?
Yeah, it doesn't work for me.
I think he just wasn't given the right chance, the right time, innit? I think it's quite funny. A lot of the players we've been linked with, like Jota's gone to Rennes today, who we were linked with last summer from Al Ittihad. Obviously, Wesley had gone to.
He's over here. Yeah,
something like that as well.
He's in Saudi.
And you had Andre up there. Obviously, we've been linked to quite a lot. It's quite funny how a lot of our players, all the guys we've been linked to, have buggered off to the Saudi league now, it seems.
Why have we actually got rid of JWP to Nottingham Forest?
It doesn't make sense.
Why? Why Nottingham Forest? Why?
He didn't want to go Everton.
What?
Everton tried to put. He didn't want to. He had a choice. He went to Forest. He had Forest, Everton, and Southampton. I think. And I think he wanted to go to Forest.
Yeah, but why would he not go back to Southampton? I know obviously he's been spoken about really because of Flynn Downs and stuff, but you think the boyhood club, he only left them in the first place because they've been relegated. Now they're back in the Premier League. It makes sense to go back to them.
Well, I think Forest done some good business this summer window as well. They bought some really good players as well, and I think Southampton as well. But I think he probably saw his spot probably taken up by Flynn.
Yeah, that's why I thought he wasn't going to go back to Southampton. But I know it's a strange one for me why we've let him go. It really is. I mean, I'll stick up on my
a deal sheet for Broja.
Well, yeah, because Ipswich, because they thought they were going to do a double deal with Nilsson and Broja, and both have pulled out. Yeah, and Everton came in for him last minute.
Everton came in last minute.
Well, so Broja just signed for Ipswich and then gone on the line to Everton.
No, he's not going to the Ipswich. That pulled out.
Oh well, I thought
he's going to Everton on loan.
That's what I know.
Roshane Thomas has just said, crazy that West Ham spent 30 million on Ward-Prowse last summer only to loan him out a year later. What do you guys think?
Different manager though, isn't it?
I know.
That's the thing, Roshane.
West Ham have announced that Aguerd has gone.
Oh.
Aguerd's gone. West Ham have put it out.
Fucking hell, they have as well.
Yeah.
He's on loan until the end of the season.
Man.
Yeah.
So that's Aguerd gone, Ward-Prowse gone.
Wow. 27.
Like you're gonna have to go there, or you're gonna stay here. He's like, nah, fuck that.
Well, that's the same thing as Roshane. That was Aguerd we bought the season before for 28 million or almost 30 million pounds, wasn't it? So that's the best.
Tony's still done as well. He's
Have you seen the announcement for Aguerd? It's like FIFA. Because obviously he's not there, so they've got a FIFA announcement. It's funny. It's a video.
Well, for Real Sociedad.
Yeah, Real Sociedad. I can bring that up. I don't get copyrighted for that, do I, Russ?
Yeah, probably would do.
You would, don't you?
Yeah.
What for an announcement video?
Yes.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've stuck every announcement video up on my TikTok. I haven't had the copyright for that, but I got a copyright the other day.
That's because you're working with TikTok and they're a Chinese company and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh no!
And they're about to collapse.
No, they do. You know that arm pull by Jolinton the other day, right?
Yeah.
I stuck a 2-second clip of literally him putting it and putting him back, and that video got removed because of copyright because of that 2-second clip.
It's Premier League. He can't show any Premier League, Alex.
No, but I've got a video up showing goals and other stuff that's been happened in the Premier League. It's like there is
don't put
nothing.
any Premier League stuff up. That's
How does Clips get away with it?
well, he doesn't. He's not what's named. I mean, well, to be honest, they put it up, and then 90% of the time it gets taken down. Yeah,
it gets taken down.
But he doesn't.
A few days later, it gets taken down, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's why he puts it on his website.
Wowzers. Wow.
X has put out emojis.
X has done emojis.
He's done emojis for Solar.
Yeah, he's just text me. Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, Solar's done.
That's done. Which again makes sense. It makes sense why you'd let JWP go because Soler comes in. It automatically he's going to be more preferred.
Oh, the announcement's coming soon. There you go, West Ham. 6 seconds ago.
Oh, have they done the blurry face?
Yeah, they've done the blurry face.
Yeah, blurry face.
Yeah. That is the creepy. Can I show it on here for copyright?
Yeah, you can show it. You can show it. Yeah, you just can't show video. Yeah,
that is the creepiest.
Yeah, that is.
That looks like something from like the Wyatt Six.
We should all do a test see if we can recreate that right now.
Who could that be? Who could that be? And it goes El Soy viene El. I can't see it. It's like at West Ham. I tell you what, like the under 21s, they've moved the dugout to the other side of the pitch, so I can't see the numbers. I'm going to have to get binoculars, and it's like this now. El Sol Juego El Italiana Dia. That means day. El Sol. Okay, so I think that's fair to say that he's coming.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better about the.
Oh, John Duran's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Alexis Desai from Chelsea. They're all coming. And Badashili. They're all coming with us.
No.
Fucking hell.
The Aguerd one is weird as well for me. So that out of the two players that I didn't think we would let go, James Ward-Prowse and Aguerd, I didn't think we would let go so late. I wasn't so surprised about Aguerd. I was expecting Aguerd to go if we had a replacement lined up, but we didn't, and that's why I'm surprised he's gone. James Ward-Prowse, I was surprised that he left in general. Even if we do bring Solar in, because why have we kept serving?
Well, but his head's too big for that picture.
His head is too big for every single image I've ever used. I've put on a thumbnail. It's his hair. Honestly, it's so true. Long. He's the most awkward. Honestly, I'm so sorry for people, but see when you do the shit we do and you try to be designery, whatever, and even though we're not, but we pretend we are. The one fucking player that you struggle with more than anyone is Aguerd. I've never struggled with an image of a player in my life.
I think he's quite lanky and quite skinny at the same time.
Really
where he's
awkward.
He looks awkward.
His body position is his body is just not. It's not great for camera. So what's that? Is that 10 or is it 9? 10. 10 players. 9.
Do we count
9 first teamers? 9 first teamers.
Yeah. Do we count Kante?
Well, actually, we signed 4. We signed 4 in the academy. We signed Lewis Brown, David Chigueda, Bulagon, and Kante. So we signed 4 from the academy.
And then 9 first teamers.
9 first teamers. Yeah.
Fuck me. Like when you look at West Ham's defence, right, and you take Aguerd and zoom it out, and then from that you've brought in 3 new players and got rid of 2 of the old guard. So that there's the old days gone.
Bonga. Don't forget
Plus Bonga as well. Yeah,
Bonga as well. Yeah.
Don't forget Bonga.
Yeah.
We've moved on 3 centre backs and brought in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still feel like our defence is stronger than it was last year.
I think the point I'm making is the fact that we're looking at bringing out the clear out the old guard, the old team. Yeah. It's a massive transition. We always knew we needed a big transition, but the transition has happened. This time last year, correct me if I'm wrong, we did have Ben Rama still. We did have Fornal still.
In the summer,
just in the summer, yeah. So you had
that because we got Lanzini left at the beginning, didn't he? Yeah. I think, didn't he? Lanzini left at the beginning of the window, I think.
Oh, I think so. I can't remember. Was that not a bit longer than that? Was it?
He left before. I swear
he left in the summer. Yeah.
Free transfer, wasn't it?
Yeah, he left at the end of his contract.
I tell you now, right? 100%. Call me out if you want. That's fine, right? The pros and cons of Moyes' tenure. The one major con was the amount of players ruined during his tenure. Lanzini was one of those players who I think if he was playing for West Ham now, would have more of a chance of starting in this team than he did for the amount of times we've had a player that's played well in one game in a Moyes system, and then the next game they're never seen again. Like you don't see him ever again. Lanzini would have fitted this system a lot more than he ever did to Moyes' system.
Yeah, but I think with Lanzini was crock. He was crocked. He was crocked. He was crocked.
In what way?
He was injured. He never once he had his major injury, he never came back the same player. And the reason why
he had little spells. He had little spells, but he never
he was never the same player. And I think the reason being was when he first played, when he shot onto the scene, it was him and Payet.
No, I'm not.
When he left, Payet was gone, and I think it was too much for him. No, I agree. The thing about Moyes was he had an 11, and that was it.
That's what I'm saying.
That was it. So
Lanzini had to change from being the robust attacking midfielder to being a more central, pass the ball to other people to do all the attacking forward. Like he was a sort of sitting midfielder that could do the things here and there. What I'm saying is that he couldn't do the things he used to be able to, but he was still useful to an extent in a certain role. And if you'd have put him in this type of possession-based football where it's literally get the ball, play it out, get the ball, play it out, that would have suited Lanzini far more than.
He would have done. Yeah, definitely. He would have suited him his style of football more. Yeah. But the thing is, he'd already left. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I just think he was. Once he had that major injury, he never came back the same.
When we think of Lanzini, we think of the guy running through defences, being attacking, getting past him, having a shot, scoring.
Same as Fornals. Same as Fornals, wasn't it? So
I think Fornals would have thrived in this team.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
definitely.
Fornals,
definitely.
Especially if he was being played centrally.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, but I don't know. But again, it's like he would have suited it, but I don't think he would have got in at the moment ahead of the guys already there.
No, but again, I still think he'll be a better option than the guys we have got there that are the backups. Possibly.
I don't know. I know what you mean.
They're different players. I mean, you need different players, don't you? And I think we've got a variety of different players now in that midfield who can do slightly different jobs depending on how we want to play.
We've got a squad. That's something we haven't had for
years.
Even under Bilic. Bilic had an 11, and actually before then, you look at Sam. They all had an 11. Maybe not stringent 11 as Moisey had. But they all had an 11, a favoured 11. I think we've got a squad now where we don't necessarily know, apart from maybe 5 or 6 players, we don't know the other 5 or 6 players.
No,
that's what I like.
I think we're finally catching up to a lot of the Premier League, where most of the Premier League have been working this way for a while now, where they have had squads, and that's how they've been working. Some have got stronger squads than others, and some have got squads that, that a lot of players that we wouldn't recognise because we don't support that team. But I feel like there's a lot of Premier League teams who have been working the way that we plan on working this season, with the kind of having squads available for squad rotation and things like that, rather than just being very reliant on the same 11, which is a very kind of old-fashioned way of looking at it.
Then again, you say that. Look at Arsenal. Look at how many minutes the Arsenal side have played.
This is
so that they sort of buck the trend a little bit. But yeah, no, I mean, I was talking to someone the other day about it, asking about, what do you think about the new new head coach? And I was like, I'm excited because I can't pick the 11 anymore now. And that's exciting because you knew, regardless of what happened, regardless of who we played, you knew that this player was playing this. Even if they played shit the week before, Moyes was going to pick the same 11.
Yeah, every single game last season, I used to do a little match preview and do the lineups, and I'll do the lineup I want to see, and I'll do the predicted lineup. And 9 times out of 10, the predicted lineup I got right, and the team I wanted was nowhere close. That was easy. This time this season, I've got the team I want and the team I've predicted, and neither of them have been right. I haven't got in. I've missed the map by 2 or 3 players each time. I just I don't really know what to expect, and I don't know what I don't know. I think I know what to expect for tomorrow's game against Man City.
I don't know. That's the thing.
I do. But I'm not certain.
Don't know. If we don't know if we can't predict it, Pep will be there. But I'm talking about other players. Other players can. No, other players can. So Anton just text me saying, other managers aren't going to be able to predict our 11.
No, that's also a good point, because I thought we'd become very, very, very predictable over the last 2 seasons in the Premier League, and that's why it was just so easy to play against us. Because you saw teams, they were just quite happy to I've never seen like some teams that just look so comfortable when playing alongside us. It's ridiculous. But the video's out.
What is
Sol's video?
Soler. Right, everyone, we are going to go. We are actually, Russ, we're doing it. I've set up a separate stream. We're going live across there. Let's keep the video separate, because then that means people can come across and have a chin wag separately. Right?
Okay.
I'll go across and start it.
Okay.
I'll see you across there.
Okay, there. Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. So Anton's starting a new stream, so we can go and talk about Carlos Soler specifically. That's the idea.
Yes.
That's the idea. Because otherwise, it's 12 hours of the transfer deadline, and then talk about Carlos Soler. So what we're going to do is Anton's going to go and start the stream. We're going to close the stream. You don't need to go anywhere, peeps. You just stay still, my lovely friends, and you'll be magically whisked away to the new stream, where we'll be talking specifically about Carlos Soler signing, which is I'm excited, really excited. I think that's a great signing for us, and would definitely offer us something which we something different to what we've got, definitely. So yeah, as Ree says, we'll see you over there, guys. You can go to bed if you want to. See you soon, Joan. Don't worry. And we'll jump over there now and talk with Anton. Lucky enough to be up early tomorrow because it's a 5:30 kickoff. Anyway, see you on the other side, people. Bye bye.